in St Lucia has become unbearable. Every day, we feel the crushing weight of a government that's out of touch with the struggles of its people. They've collected millions in taxes on fuel, leaving us paying more for gasoline, cooking gas, kerosene, and diesel. And as if that wasn't enough, the Health and Security Levy has made everything more expensive, adding an additional 2.5% to the cost of goods and services. Bus fares have gone up, bread costs more, electricity, water, food, internet, even your mobile credit, it all costs more. For many St. Lucians, their paychecks don't stretch like they used to. Meanwhile, the government has reduced subsidies on flour, making basic necessities harder to afford. And while they raise prices on you, they've removed 700 people from the public assistance list, leaving our most vulnerable families with no support. St. Lucia is paying the price for a government that refuses to care. How much more can we take? How many more sacrifices must we make while they mismanage our country's finances? It's time to fight back, to stand up for our families, our future, and our country. No more excuses, no more broken promises. We can't afford to stay silent. The high cost of living is suffocating us, but together we can make our voices heard. St. Lucia deserves better. Pierre Pabo.
Senator Lisa Joahir, who also serves as the communications director for the St. Lucia Labour Party, continues to blatantly lie and deceive St. Lucians. In a recent press brief, the SLP spokeswoman tried to deny that St. Lucia's agriculture sector declined by 17% in 2023. These are the facts according to the 2023 Social and Economic Review, a document prepared by the Ministry of Finance. On page 32, the opening paragraph reads, "Based on preliminary estimates, the agriculture sector's real value added declined by 17% in 2023. It went further on pages 33 to 38 to highlight the decline in the various agriculture subsectors. Fishing production declined by 4.6%. Livestock production declined by 17.3%. Chicken production declined by 11.7%. Pork production declined by 41.6%. Egg production declined by 7.8%. Banana production declined by 45.5%. Non-banana crops declined by 17.3%. And regional exports of bananas declined by 54%. The future of St. Lucia's food security is in jeopardy under Labour. The UWP has a plan and is ready to right the wrongs of this reckless SLP administration. Our farmers and fisher folk deserve better. Lisa, Prosper, and Philippe Pierre, Pabo.
At a recent briefing, Prime Minister Philippe Pierre claimed that the custody suites project has been delayed due to bathroom sinks and toilets breaking during shipment. Not just once, but twice.
There were a series of unfortunate events. Number one, there was supposed to have the toilets, the special toilets. They got broken. When in shipping. My information is they were sent back to all the new ones, and then the other ones came back and they sent back the same broken ones. So my information, you see, and a lot.
But here's the truth. The sinks and toilets designed for prison facilities are made of stainless steel, built to withstand extreme conditions and nearly impossible to break in transit. The Prime Minister's claim doesn't add up. This project was initially estimated to cost $1.5 million. Somehow, that budget tripled to $4.5 million, and now there are reports that the costs have spiraled even higher. With every delay and excuse, taxpayers are forced to bear the burden of rising costs while the government dodges accountability. Why isn't Prime Minister Pierre giving the people the truth about what's really causing the delays and escalating the costs? St Lucia deserves a leader who takes responsibility, not one who resorts to dubious excuses. Our country demands transparency and honesty, not stories that simply don't hold water.
In 2019, the Alan Chastanet-led United Workers' Party took decisive action to address the healthcare challenges faced by St. Lucians. The UWP secured a US $20 million loan from the World Bank under the Health Systems Strengthening Project. Out of this loan, US $5.5 million was specifically allocated to establish the framework for a national health insurance program. Under this initiative, every St. Lucian would have received up to $75,000 in healthcare coverage on an annual basis, making healthcare more accessible, equitable, and affordable for all. An advisory board of experts, including Dr. Stephen King and Dr. Merle Clark, was assembled to design the framework for this transformative program. However, when the Philip J. Pierre administration took office, they chose to abandon this initiative. Why? Simply because it was started by the United Workers' Party. The consequences of this decision are devastating. Families continue to struggle with medical expenses, hospitals remain overwhelmed, and St. Lucians are left without the healthcare safety net they were excitedly expecting. Where is the accountability? Where is the vision? We would not be facing the current health crisis if the NHI program had been implemented. The National Health Insurance Program was never about politics. It was about people. It would ensure every St. Lucian had access to the care they deserve. Let's set the record straight. The health of our nation should never be sacrificed for politics. It's time to demand a healthcare system that St. Lucians deserve. Labor, Pabo.
On October 20th, 2024, at the SLP's Conference of Delegates in Vieux-Fort, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre made a desperate attempt to rewrite history.
You will remember that the United Workers' Party only gave COVID support to NIC contributors.
This claim is absolutely false. The truth? In July 2020, under the UWP administration, 5,000 St. Lucians who were non-contributors of NIC received $500 per month for 3 months to help them survive the pandemic. Prime Minister Pierre knows the facts, yet he chose to lie to the nation. Why? To mislead and divide. St. Lucia deserves a leader who values integrity, one who speaks the truth, not one who tries to twist it. Pierre Pabo. We need real leadership, not deception. Youth and Sports Minister Kenson Casimir has been caught blatantly lying about the delays with several disciplines related to national school sports. On October 23, 2024, an article published by Terry Finisterre, a well-known sports journalist and a close political ally of Minister Casimir, penned an article titled School Sports Suspended. The story went on to explain that secondary student athletes in St. Lucia would be denied an opportunity to showcase their talents and abilities this term, as school sports has been suspended. It went further to say that this...
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another United Workers' Party Sunday Live. And we are coming to you from the party headquarters today. And I want to welcome all of those of you who are here present today. I want to welcome those who are following us on live stream in the diaspora and around St. Lucia. A special good afternoon. As always, we begin our proceedings with the national anthem, so I'd like to invite those of you present to please stand at attention for the national anthem. to ask you to please remain standing as I invite Senator Dominic Fede to lead us in a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you praise, we give you thanks. We come before your holy presence today, asking you to wash us clean and to forgive us of all of our sins, Almighty God. Cover us with your blood so that we can be made holy to come before your holy presence. Almighty God, we pray and we ask you to guide this meeting, to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. As this meeting will go smoothly, Father, guide every word that is spoken on this platform. Let every word that is spoken here today be of you, Almighty God. Father, let the truth come forth. Father, we thank you for the opportunity and the privilege that you have given us to discuss the issues that are affecting this land of yours, St. Lucia. We pray, Almighty God, that every single one of your son and every single one of your daughter, Almighty God, will be blessed from the words that we utter here tonight. We give you praise and we give you thanks. Continue to guide the United Workers' Party with your holy wisdom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Senator Fede, or should I say Pastor Fede? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin, and today we have, as usual, a lineup for you, and our speakers will be dealing on a range of subjects that are of interest to you, the people of St. Lucia, as we talk about what affects us here, and we talk about what passes for government here in this country. So please, we are going to go right into the start of our program. I just want to remind you, apart from those of you following us live on social media, we are also live on TV. In a while, I will announce to you the 2 channels that you can tune into to follow us. But without further ado, I would like to call on our first speaker. And let me just say to you, today you will get a healthy mix of speakers. We will get, among our speakers, the youth. You will get the ladies. You'll get the gentlemen, and you'll get the veterans of the United Workers' Party. So you'll get a healthy mix. But as anything else, I would like to start with the youth. And, well, he hardly needs any introduction within the fold of the United Workers' Party currently, because he seemed to have quickly made a name for himself. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will introduce to you a very dynamic young man who has been gracing the platform of the United Workers' Party. And of course, with that, we can tell that the future of the United Workers' Party is in very good hands. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the podium Mr. Joshua Harrow, who will address
you. Good evening, everyone. My brothers and sisters, today I stand before you to speak of a force so powerful, so unstoppable, that even the winds and waves of history have been shaped by it. This force is youth. It is the fire that ignites revolutions, the heartbeat of progress, and the very essence of change. But too often our young people are dismissed, cast aside, and silenced by those who believe that the wisdom only comes with age. To them, I remind you of the words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 18, verse 3, and quote, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven," end quote. The Lord himself tells us to embrace the innocence, the passion, and the relentless faith of the young. Yet in our society, we see adults who demand respect simply because of their title. Let me be clear. Respect is not inherited. It's earned. How can we ask our youth to respect us when some of our so-called leaders show no respect for them? How can we tell them to listen when they see hypocrisy at every turn? In our own St. Lucia, we have watched figures such as El Guapo wield power, but not always with honor. We have seen controversy after controversy, yet they demand the people to trust them? No, my friends. Trust is not given blindly. It must be deserved. And our youth, our vibrant, brilliant, questioning youth, see right through the mask of deception. The Labour Party stands as a testament to broken promises and deceit. They speak of progress, yet their actions only push us backwards. They claim to champion the people, but their interests serve only themselves. Corruption, mismanagement, and arrogance have been their guiding principles, and the people of St. Lucia suffer as a result. They parade men like El Quapo before us, expecting us to forget the scandals, the failures, and the betrayals. But St. Lucians will not be fooled again. Do not stifle the youth. Do not tell them to be quiet and know their place, because their place is at the forefront. Their voices are the ones that will shape this nation's future. As our great Nobel laureate Sir Derek Walcott once said, "Break a vase, and the love that reassembles the fragments is stronger than that love which looks in cemetery for granted." Youth may stumble, they may fall, but they will rise stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. And it is our responsibility to uplift them, to encourage their dreams, and to create opportunities that will allow them to succeed. Let us not forget the power of women. If there is one thing history has proven, is that women do not just hold up half the sky, they are the sky. They are the backbone of our families. They are the strength in our struggles, and the warriors who have fought battles with nothing but resilience and faith. Any society that undermines its women is a society doomed to fail. St. Lucia must uplift its women, respect them, not as an act of charity, but as a duty to justice. To the Labour Party, I say this: watch your own, for one among you will be your Achilles heel. The greatest threats are not always external. They often come from within. True leadership demands vigilance, accountability, and the courage to remove those who threaten the movement's integrity. Too long have empty promises and reckless nation. The people of St. Lucia will not be fooled forever. But we, the United Workers' Party, must lead by example. We must create avenues for young people to thrive. We must build a nation that listens to its youth, that empowers them with education. As Sir Arthur Lewis, another one of our Nobel, is not money but knowledge. Let us invest in our youth, not just with words, but with actions. Let us be the party that welcomes them, that hears their concerns, that values their contributions. We will not be a party of empty rhetoric, but one of real change and progress. And the real example is a young man standing before you right now, who is leading a charge for advocacy, who is speaking on a platform, who is carrying the torch for change, and who's ensuring that the young people of St. Lucia are heard, red or yellow or blue or green. So to the young people of this nation, I say this: never let anyone dim your light. Speak even when they try to silence you. Stand even when they push you down. Dream even when they tell you it's impossible, because you are not just the future, you are the present. And without you, there is no tomorrow. Let us be a nation that listens to its youth, that respects its people, regardless of gender, age, or title, that builds not on arrogance, but on the foundation of integrity. And may God bless St. Lucia, and may He give our youth the courage to lead us where the fearful dare not to go. So as I close, I leave you with this question: if you were given the power to change this nation tomorrow, what would you do differently from those who failed us today? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh. And you just heard Joshua Harrow, one of the youth of the United Workers' Party. And ladies and gentlemen, last week, apart from Josh himself, you saw a number of other young people. We had Natoya, we had the Dragon Slayer, While you're watching me as if you all don't know who's the Dragon Slayer. You all don't know who's the Dragon Slayer? We had Rush Clark, the Dragon Slayer. And so we heard from Joshua again today. And so I think, Joshua, you'll forgive me if I say so. I'm in a position to refer to you as a babes. You know, from the mouth of babes, you know, it comes. And he made a statement that is very important because the United Workers' Party is an all-embracing party, not just the youth, but the women. And you heard what Joshua said about the ladies of the United Workers' Party. He said they do not only hold up half of the sky. As a matter of fact, they are the sky. And that is very important because, you know, I have always said, I've learned that from my years in politics, that the youth is the energy of your campaign. The women are the organization of your campaign. So if you want to win, you had better have the youth and the ladies on your side. And so the United Workers' Party has learned that lesson, and we are ensuring that we embrace them and give them prominence, not just tokenization, but prominence in the United Workers' Party. And talking about ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call a lady again who hardly needs any introduction. You have seen her, the face before, many places with the United Workers' Party. And if I probably just say the hostess of Round Table, you would know who I'm talking about. But, you know, before I introduce the young lady, let me just remind you of one thing. I would like, because my calendar is blocked for the 2nd of March. Don't look for me. Don't ask for me. You know where I will be. On the 2nd of March, I will be in Dennery North, because something very important that has a lot to do with the future of our country is going to take place in Dennery North. In Dennery North, not only will hope be returned to St. Lucia, you will see that hope spelled out to you. Because my understanding, again, I'm not supposed to tell you that, my understanding is that the men and women, some of the men and women, you have already seen 7, but we need 17. My understanding is that another 8, so last time we gave you 7, then they'll give you 8. I wish the next time they'll give you 9, but there's only 2 more will be left. You will see 8 of the men and women who will be taking the fight to the St. Lucia Labour Party and returning the light to St. Lucia. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all I'm allowed to say. I cannot tell you more. Mind your own business. Block the date. Find yourself in Dennery North on March the 2nd. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was introducing the next speaker. And, of course, as I said, she needs no introduction. So I'd like to call to the podium, with your warm welcome, Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel. Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, who will address you.
Good evening. My voice can project. I don't know. Oh, it's blocking my beautiful face. Okay. All right. Spider, Mrs. Jean-Pierre is my mother. My husband is watching. And when you say Mrs., he's expecting his name, Noel, okay? I know sometimes people call me Mrs. Noel and I don't answer because I'm not used to the name. I'm still not used to the name. All jokes aside, if you are here and you are a true flubbo, let me hear you say yay. Yay! I don't think I heard you loud enough. If you are that's correct. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. Now we are talking. All jokes aside, people, our nation is in crisis. Our nation is in crisis, and the time for action is now. If you agree with me, let me hear you say yay. Yay! Our nation is in crisis. Growing up as a child in St. Lucia, I never expected St. Lucia to be where it is today. And it hurts my heart. So today I bring you warm greetings from the people of Labri, OG. To the rest of you, St. Lucia, whether you're in this hall, whether you're at home watching and listening, or whether you are in the diaspora. Greetings from Labri, OG. From the rolling hills of OG to the shores of Labri, from our fishermen to our farmers, from our elders and our youth, we send our love, our resilience, and our unwavering spirit to the rest of St. Lucia. We are a people who know hardship. We are a people who know sacrifice, but we are also a people who know when we have had enough. It is always a privilege to stand before you, the hardworking, resilient people of St. Lucia, the people who wake before the sun to feed their families, and the people who have built this country with their bare hands, the people who hold their communities together with love and sacrifice. But tonight, I do not come merely with pleasantries. I come with fire in my heart and truth on my lips. For too long, we have been fed lies, deception, and empty promises. We have been told to be patient while crime escalates, while corruption thrives, while our communities sink deeper into despair. And yet, we are expected to stay silent and take mumu tablets. We are expected to accept a reality where our women are brutalized, our elderly are abandoned, our poor are neglected, and our leaders laugh in our faces. How many more of us must die? Over 3 decades ago, Mary Ratcliffe's murder was supposed to be a wake-up call for us in St. Lucia. A mother, a daughter, a sister slaughtered. Her children left to suffer. Her memory left to be nothing more than a tragic headline. The system failed her. The system failed her then, and all these years later, it has failed women again. This time with Alana Bernard, brutally executed in cold blood. She was not just a name. She was not just a name. She was a mother. She was a friend, a woman with hopes and dreams. She deserved to live. She deserved to live. She deserved better. But in a country where criminals thrive and justice is a fantasy, who is ever truly safe? I want you to think about this. And just when we thought we had seen it all, we had had enough horror, a female entrepreneur, a woman trying to earn an honest living, was robbed of her day's earnings, beaten, and shot in the leg. What kind of society have we become? I feel for her because I am a female entrepreneur. I often leave my workplace late, and this could have been me. I feel her pain. A place where women who struggle to build a future are left bleeding on the pavement while the attackers disappear, poof, into the night. This is not just crime. This is systemic failure. Failure in leadership, failure in justice, failure in governance. We live in a country where life-saving medical treatment is a luxury. It's a luxury. Where things like dialysis, once you're on it, you can't get off it. If you get off it, you die. It's so expensive that people must choose between life and starvation. where our sick, our elderly, our vulnerable are left to suffer in silence because they dare not speak. Because if you don't have money in this country, you don't matter. And we remember a few years ago, Black Lives Matter. Remember that? Doesn't Black lives still matter? Don't our lives still matter? We still matter, whether we have money or not. Our nation is one that forces grandparents to steal. Yes, they force our grandparents to steal. Our elderly, the very men and women who built this nation, what have we come to when our grandparents must steal to feed their grandchildren because their sons are locked away in Bordelais? When the weight of a broken system crushes them until they have no choice but to commit crime just to ensure a child does not starve. I have seen it. Grandmothers stealing things like saltfish and onions so that they can give their children something to eat. Mothers who have gone past embarrassment to say that they couldn't send their child to school because they had nothing to give them. This happened last week to a child and a mother I knew so well. I was floored because you never know. It's not written on anybody's faces. Yet, when these tragedies unfold, our so-called leaders offer nothing but empty statements and meaningless condolences. They tell us to be patient. But how can we be patient when we are the ones burying our loved ones, watching our children starve, living in fear of criminals who will never face justice because these criminals, they reside in the most honorable house? Enough. I say enough. The hypocrisy of leadership, and I'm seeing wrap up, but I have so much to say. I have been silent for way too long. I hope you give me some latitude. We are going to be silent no more. They tell us they care. They tell us they put us first. But have they put us first? Jeremiah Norbert, a man right now, you can say what you want. I ain't calling him honorable for nothing. Not in the house, not out of the house, to say that the past administration offered no help, to make light of his political leader, calling our political leader for assistance. And he said, oh, it was just, that's not a joke. It's a pablag. It's a pablag. Right? But where was his help? Where was his help when one of his own constituents lost both of his legs and was sent home to die in neglect? Where was his outrage? That outrage is only for himself. But what about the people he has sworn to put first? Where was his voice? And we have Richard Frederick, who openly admits he knows crucial information about open murder cases, yet he remains untouched. He remains untouched. Why? Why has he not been dragged in for intense questioning? Why does the police commissioner seemingly take instructions from a man so deeply entrenched in corruption? And our prime minister, don't get me started. Don't get me started. In parliament, he claims to know everything about crime. He knows who's doing crime, everything in the parliament. But outside, he giggles and laughs like a hyena, detached from the suffering of his people, the people he says he's putting first. What kind of leader laughs while his country bleeds? And I have two more things to say. My constituency, Labri Auger, that's the SLP's so-called stronghold. It has remained in a twilight zone, trapped, stagnant, forgotten. We give these people, less than honorable, our votes, but they give us nothing in return. No development, no progress, no hope. The time for talking is over. The time for action is now. If you agree with me, let me hear you say yay. Now, I have a few things I want to say, because I'm not a person who just believes in talking. I have the solutions, but I'm out of time. St. Lucia, the time, as I said, for waiting is over. No more secrets, lies, and propaganda. No more slander, lawlessness, and persecution. No more silence, lack, and pain. No more sacrificing lives for politics. No more SLP. Let me hear you say, no more. This country belongs to us, not to corrupt politicians, not to criminals, not to those who exploit and oppress us. It is time for action. It is time for outrage. It is time to shake the very foundations of this nation until those in power have no choice but to listen to us. If you will stand with me now. Stand with me. Because if we do nothing, if we allow this suffering to continue, then we are not just victims, we are accomplices. And I, for one, will not be an accomplice to the destruction of my people. Again, I say the time is now. The time is now to stand and not be silent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, Laura, my daughter recently said to me, you know, when she really checked it out, I should have been carrying my wife's name instead of my wife carrying my name. So, you know, and since I heard Josh say that the women are the sky, I gave the women the title. So, anyway, but thank you very much, Miss Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel. And so I told you we have youth, we have women, and you can see the power in our youth. You can see the power among our women. And we don't just have women, because you know Laura talk about her constituency, my suspicions. She said her constituency, Labri. I remember the days when I used to say that. I wonder why she said that. But anyway, Laura said that she is from Labri. But I don't want you to think for a moment we only have women from the south. We have women both north and south. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call on... Okay. I was just ensuring that the next speaker is ready. I would like to call on the next speaker to address you. You heard her last week, and she was dynamite. Her speech provoked some reaction from up high, and she was attacked. But you know what? Like Laura said to you, the time for remaining silent is gone. The time for action is now. And we are not going to be trampled upon as a UWP any longer. We are not going to remain silent any longer. We'll stand up and we'll fight when we have to. And so, a young lady who I must tell you I admire her courage and I admire her ability to push back. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you another youth this time, but not just young, she's a lady. So I'm giving you the combination as well. So a young lady called Natoya Popo, who will address you right now.
Bonsoir, my flabo. So si men passe a me faire speech. Ep tout moun ka kouye phone mwen retract statement. Logik ni moun giving threaten mwen plaster hay mwen, yo kay bat mwen, yo kay sen mwen. So I stand before you today, disturbed by a grave, persistent issue that continues to scar our society: violence against women. We are living in times where the cries of women are met with indifferences, where pain is overlooked, and where silence becomes an accomplice to suffering. As I sat in deep thought about this issue, I asked myself, what is the difference between verbally abusing someone, degrading them, or taking a gun or a cutlass and inflicting harm? The truth is there is no difference. All forms of violence, be it verbal, physical, or psychological, traumatizes women. It leaves a long-lasting scar. So that goes to the How do I don't even, he can't be honorable. So that goes to the MP that continues to degrade, intimidate, who left my picture on the screen for more than 5 minutes, who thought that it was going to silence me, to the PSs, to the CEO, to the ministers who called me to retract my statements. I say to you, do not try to intimidate me. Do not try to intimidate women of St. Lucia. The time for our silence has stopped. We will push back. And those who are voiceless, there are some of us who are going to speak back on their behalf. We must ask ourselves, why do we stand by while this continues? As a nation, we should be disturbed by this senseless violence. We are in bondage. We are shackled by fear, not just on the streets, but within the very homes that we are supposed to be at our safest. How did we allow ourselves to accept this as normal? How did we become a society where women, the mothers of our children, the pillars of our communities, are victimized or even turned down to cruelty in everyday lives? Where are the rehabilitation centers? Where is the support for human and social services? Where is vulnerable persons unit? Where is the support for that unit? As they're supposed to be standing by to assist victims. You continuously hear the outcry of women with no solutions. Are we going to continue accepting this as it's normal? It is time to talk. Sexual, domestic, and verbal abuse, take it seriously. We must stop shying away from these topics and acting like it's taboo, something that we're not supposed to speak about. The impact of these crimes are devastating. It is time to focus on solutions. We must act decisively, not in whispers, but with purpose. If we continue to be silent, it will continue to happen like it doesn't affect any one of us. We need a secure facility, a city of healing, where victims of violence can go to heal, recover, and rebuild. These centers should not only offer refuge, but an opportunity for rehabilitation, training programs, counseling, mental health support, skills development, so that when these victims re-enter society, they do not feel as if they're jumping into danger, but they feel empowered. They feel that they can take on anything. They feel an opportunity of respect and are willing to move and survive. This cannot be a matter of only politics. So say munna kadima say politik na palea. This is a matter of humanity. We cannot continue to allow this epidemic of violence to claim the lives and dignity of women. The time for change is now. We must stop accepting the unacceptable and build a society where women are free from violence and fear, where their voices are heard and where their rights are protected. So again, I reiterate, the persons who are calling my phone and trying to intimidate me, stop. I will speak back. I am not afraid of y'all. You can continue to victimize me. And a warning to the Labour Party. If you'll release personal confidential information, I will fight back. I do not only be legal, I will fight back as a citizen of St. Lucia and as a young person. Let us commit together to building a future where the safety and well-being of women is a priority. Let us build a society that values every woman, that respects her and that takes action when she needs it. And to the MPs, the sitting women who have not made one remark against the senseless slaying of a friend, but also a victim, I say to you, shame on you. I say to you that our country is bleeding. Our women are crying out for help. And you all say nothing. Let's look at Lisa Joaillier. You want to go up as a rep, and you have said nothing. What does that say about you and your character? Mamai Flabo, the time is now. Citizens of St. Lucia, the time is now for us to speak up. We are no longer bondage by fear. We are fighting back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Natoya. In fact, you just heard, let the SLP know intimidation will not work. Verbal abuse will not work. We are standing up and we are fighting back. And when you touch one, you touch us all. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this. Shame on Lisa. Shame on Emma. Shame on Virginia. Shame on Pauline. They all occupy high positions of power. But when they are supposed to let their voices be heard, we hear none of them. They sit in their high offices as facilitators and enablers of abuse. They condone the abuse of women like themselves. They condone and endorse the behavior of their colleagues who abuse women on a weekly basis. Shame on all of them. These are not the kind of women we want in our midst. You see the kind of women that we produce here in this party. That is what you call real women. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I really love what I've heard from the ladies so far. And you will forgive me if I continue. I want to hear more from another lady. And I was saying to you, don't think we only have ladies in the South who are prepared to stand up and speak. We have ladies from East, West, South, and North. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I will now call on a lady from the North who will address you. I have my suspicions, but I'll keep it to myself. You want information, you're not going to get it from me. I say to you, mind your own business. On the 2nd of March, find yourself in Dennery North. Don't ask me questions. I have no answers to give. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure. And let me just express my pride in the ladies of the United Workers' Party. I want to present to you another lady who I am proud of. And ladies and gentlemen, assist me. Now, I want your help now. Assist me in welcoming the next speaker to the podium, Mrs. Marcella Johnson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Spider, for this wonderful introduction. Good evening to all St. Lucians, both home and abroad. I am here today to speak on the crime and healthcare situation. But before I get into this matter, it is only fair that I address false accusations against me by the SLP agents on various platforms. Many of you know me as a banker and businesswoman in the community. I grew up from humble beginnings in Marshall, and I've worked hard through sweat and tears for everything I've built today by the grace of God. Let me be clear. My integrity is not for sale. I have built an excellent reputation based on honesty, trust, hard work, dedication, and service to the people. That will never change. No amount of lies by the SLP will erase that. That garbage that you see on social media is exactly that. Just garbage. These stories are simply false and a distraction from the real issues that matter to you. Unfortunately, when you stand for progress, some will try to bring you down with lies. Let me be absolutely clear. I have never and will never compromise my values for political gain. I don't need to cut corners or play dirty politics because my work and record speak for themselves. I stand here today because of my dedication to community and country. While others waste time on baseless accusations, I remain focused on real issues, improving opportunities for our youth, protecting our elderly, building a stronger, fairer nation for all of us. Politics should not be about rumors. It should be about ideas, solutions, and service, not about attacking families. Yet, my SLP opponents have stooped so low as to spread outright lies, not just about me, but about my disabled parents. Two honorable people who have nothing to do with political gains. Imagine attacking my father, a man who has lost one of his legs, calling him names, and all he has done is sacrifice for his family. I remember this man carrying me on his shoulders when I was 4 years old to take me to Victoria Hospital because I was sick. Can you imagine? Peter Shiko, where are you? Please take care of my father from Castries East. I'm leaving him in your capable hands. Let me reiterate, these accusations are false, baseless, and desperate. When people have no vision, no real leadership, and nothing to offer the people, they resort to slander. But I will not be distracted. I will not be intimidated. And neither should you. Instead of tearing people down, I am here to lift this community up. Lies will fade, but real leadership endures. I trust the intelligence of the people. You know my work, my character, and my commitment. Let's not be distracted by negativity. Let's move forward together and make real change happen. I refuse to let lies and distractions take away from the important work we have ahead of us. Let's stay focused on building a better future together. Ladies and gentlemen, I also stand before you today with a heavy heart. Our community is in pain. Our people are crying out for change. The recent murder of Alana Bernard is a tragic reminder that crime is not just statistics. It is real, it is personal, and it is destroying lives. Alana was a mother of 3 young children, all under the age of 10. She was someone's daughter, friend, a member of our community, and she deserved a future. There are so many murders within our community which remains unsolved today, but we have not forgotten. Many cases of domestic violence and assault never make it through the justice system, as cases remain an inordinate length of time in the system. We need love, peace, and justice in this country. Too many lives are being lost to senseless violence. Too many families are grieving. We cannot continue down this path. We need real action, not just words. Homicides have increased, and it was at the highest recorded at 77 in 2024. Our children are dying. No parent should have to bury a child. Our women are being violated, raped, and killed. Who is protecting our women and children? Single mothers have to work for small salaries, which they can barely survive on. Imagine, child support is $200 per month. In this day and age, that amount of money can barely feed a child for a week. As a result of their circumstances, some women have to put their lives at risk and succumb to the sex trade, which is dangerous. Many women in this country have been killed, and the murders remain unsolved. These are our mothers, sisters, friends, and neighbors. Who is fighting for the plight of the vulnerable in our society? Where is the Minister of Gender Relations? Where is the Minister for Equity? Where are the voices for the vulnerable in our society? We have heard nothing from them. Brothers and sisters, we have to be the voice for the voiceless. Our society is at serious risk, and we must act now. We cannot continue to go about our daily lives as if it is business as usual. The time for talk is over. That's correct. We need comprehensive policies and programs to remove unlicensed firearms from our streets, whilst also increasing preventative measures to limit illegal guns entering our country. We need to look at the root causes of crime and tackle crime by implementing preventative measures. A UWP administration under the leadership of the Honorable Alan Michael Chastanet will fight for youth empowerment and job creation. Because when young people have opportunities, they have a reason to say no to crime. We need a community crime prevention task force, bringing together residents, law enforcement, and local leaders to develop solutions that work for the community. We need stronger police presence and community policing to build trust and ensure faster response times. We need to implement neighborhood watch programs and security upgrades, including better street lighting in high crime areas and community patrols. The increased use of CCTV surveillance in public areas is necessary to deter and help solve crimes. We must increase our public awareness of gender-based violence. We must endeavor to ensure that our school programs educate young people on respect, consent, conflict resolution. We must engage men and boys on gender violence prevention initiatives. There must be a review of the justice system to enable faster case processing to prevent delays. Crime is not just a policing issue. It is a community issue. We must work together to take our streets back. The SLP administration implemented an oppressive tax, the Health and Security Levy of 2.5% on the cost of goods and services, which has compounded the VAT so that now we are paying higher than 15% in taxes. Had the UWP administration been in office, the overall tax would have been reduced to 10%. Now this tax, which was supposed to be used for health and security, is not being used for this purpose. In fact, the Medical and Dental Association have indicated that healthcare is the worst they have seen in this country, and as a result, many healthcare professionals resign from OKEU. The crime levels have increased. So where is the money going? Tell me. High crime affects the already overburdened healthcare system. While crime steals lives, poor healthcare leaves many suffering in silence. When your loved ones get sick, you shouldn't have to worry about whether you can afford care. Yet too many persons in Grosley and the country are facing exactly that choice. Persons have to resort to fundraising barbecues to take care of their sick loved ones. I have met many persons in the constituency of Grosley who cannot afford to purchase medication and have to decide whether to buy food or medication. The elderly who thought that they would be receiving universal health care under this SLP administration, lament that the health center never has the medication and they have to purchase medication from private pharmacies. Under a UWP administration, health insurance would have been provided to all St. Lucians up to $75,000. This money would then be used to finance the healthcare system. Our families are dying at OKEU. They have to sleep in plastic chairs for days before receiving treatment. There are no beds, whilst a 40-bed field hospital remains abandoned by this SLP administration. This is wicked. The hospital lacks basic resources such as bandages, painkillers, face masks, to name a few. This is not putting you first. The government is uncaring. Yo, Pamela. The primary healthcare facilities at Grosile are under pressure. Grosile is the most densely populated part of St. Lucia, with most of the main hotels and the Rodney Bay Marina. Now we have to be mindful of accidents, and a proper healthcare facility is of utmost importance for the needs of the constituency. The polyclinic has staff constraints. In urgent care, you have only 3 nurses to serve the patients. Most of the doctors working there are on sessions, not permanent or full-time salary. Therefore, they come for a short period and then leave. Even some of the nurses are on sessions too. Not only are the patients from Grosile and the Castries Basin, but patients come from as far as Soufrière and Ancillary to be seen at the polyclinic. More than 100 patients are seen per shift. Many persons avoid going to OKEU and come to the polyclinic, which lacks the proper equipment and medical personnel to meet the needs of the population. Patients come with serious ailments such as heart attacks, asthma, fractures, which has to be managed before transfer via ambulance to be submitted to the hospital. Now, the constituency rep was boasting about giving the polyclinic an ambulance, but the ambulance in use right now does not belong to the polyclinic. It belongs to the Red Cross. Wouldn't it be better for the government to provide the polyclinic with their own ambulance? Imagine that, imagine that. A UWP administration will commit to fighting for better equipped healthcare facilities and more medical staff so that no one is turned away when they need care. That's right. We need to ensure that the healthcare facilities can be financed effectively to ensure affordable medication programs to help families and the elderly access life-saving treatments.
That's correct.
I am passionate about mental health care services because emotional and psychological trauma from crime and hardship must be treated with urgency. Our elderly, our children, our most vulnerable deserve a healthcare system that works for them. We must act now to make Grosile and our country safer and healthier for everyone. Enough is enough. St. Lucia deserves better. I am ready to work for you. I am ready to work with you. Together we can take our community back. Together we can build a future we can be proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
So you are convinced now? You are convinced now? I told you of the power of the United Workers' Party ladies. I heard some good statements there. I heard some things about Grosile, healthcare and all of that. That warmed my heart. But I think I will have to speak to the last speaker. But that's not for you to know what we're going to talk about. I remember when Grosley used to have good representation. We'll have to talk about that. No, I'm not coming back. The UWP has depth. And that is why those of us who have laid a foundation can lay back now and see that foundation be built upon. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you heard the last speaker talk about respect. You heard Josh talk about respect. You heard Laura talk about respect. Let me just say, and as Josh said, respect is earned. You cannot demand respect, it is earned. But I just want to remind you of one thing. If someone lies to you, they do not respect you. Amen. Our government is lying to us on a daily basis. And of course, it's a pity we don't have the time to go into these things today. Because, you know, we are operating on a tight schedule. We are live on UTV. We are live on DBS. We're live streaming, and we are on YouTube. Just in case we go past 8:15, I just want to announce to those of you listening out there, you will lose us on DBS, but you can tune into UTV, you can tune to YouTube, or you can go on Facebook and see what is taking place. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this. There is this notorious party of liars, the SLP, the party of secret lies and propaganda. The Prime Minister has done his fair share of lying, and if you watch Like It Is on a Monday night, I have provided the evidence of that to you on a weekly basis. But there's this other one he has recruited, who seem to be even worse than him. And he believes that he can earn respect from people by bullying, by threatening, by intimidating. Yes, El Guapo. And this bully, you know what bullies normally do? They look around and they size you up, and they figure the smallest looking one is who they jump on. That's what bullies do. They try to threaten and intimidate. But on this occasion, he didn't bargain for this. What he never found out was, and I'm going to say it in Creole, pity hash, bat guambois. Small axe fall big trees. And so he made the mistake of jumping on the wrong back. And I want to say to you, I can jump into that fight, but I notice they're not tackling me. I don't know why, but they're not tackling me. But you think there is one that is weaker, you can tackle. But I have to tell you, the man can stand for himself. And I must say, I admire the courage and the might of that little man. And so, despite all the lies and the propaganda, he cannot silence the power of the men and women of the United Workers' Party. You heard from the youth, you heard from the ladies. Let me start heading to the leadership of this party now. Because what we need in this country today is leadership and proper leadership. Men and women of integrity to lead us. We do not want people who have become notorious because of all the allegations of criminal activity that is swirling around them. Drug trafficking, money laundering, murder. Of course, if lies was a crime, all of them would be in prison right now. But we need men and women of integrity. Now, the United Workers' Party has given you a slate of men and women so far. Well, we didn't have any women in the first round, but a slate of men of integrity. Among them were men who have proven themselves with a track record of work. Right now, we are bringing in a better balance, a better mix of men, women, youth, youth that are women, men that are youth. I mean, you see the mix we're giving you? And these people are going to free us of our sorrows. So, ladies and gentlemen, one such gentleman who has proven himself by his work and who has shown that he's no pushover. And they can come and talk about where you were born and where you were born. Some of them, I don't think they were born. And I won't tell you what I think. I will not tell you what I think. But I have always said, the examples are there. You have Sir John Compton as proof. You have Sir George Mallet as proof. You have in other countries like Barbados, where Thompson was not born in Barbados, but he made his contribution. Grenada, Bishop was not born in Grenada, he made his contribution. All around the Caribbean and indeed the world, you have examples of people who have made their contribution. What is important is that you are a citizen of this country and you have this country at heart. That is what we look for. And I will bring you one such person who has this country at heart. I would like to call on the deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party, Senator Dominic Fady, who will now address you.
Thank you, Spider. Good night, good night, good night, good night, everybody. Now, I can tell you that these Flabo lives are getting hot and hot and hot. You know, based on last Thursday night, the show where they go rah, 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 they were behaving as if somebody from the UWP threw salt on the back of a crapo. Have you ever tried that? When you throw salt on the back of a crapo, the crapo behaves uncontrollably. The crapo get afraid. The crapo get awage. The crapo feels desperate. And we saw that a certain man was there on his show, shaky. And he told lies upon lies and more lies. Richard Frederick, I know you're watching. Good night to you. From the United Workers' Party. Good night to you. Now, Richard, we will get to Barabbas. We will get to Barabbas, don't worry. Now, Richard, one of the things you did on your show is that you went to the Star and you go online, and you know one thing with the Star, they have a very, very good database of the political history of this country. And Richard pulled up this article, and the byline says, "Was Richard Frederick betrayed? Do bedbugs bite?" And so he went through the article, and of course, you know, Rick bigged him up a bit. Rick said that Richard was among the leading factors that the UWP election of 26 was victorious. I give you that, Richard. No problem. Rick did say that. But that's not the only thing that Rick Wayne said about you in the same article. You see, when you are reading things, Richard, you must read the whole article and give people the true picture of what is happening. But here is what Rick Wayne said. In the same article, Rick Wayne goes on to say, but, and whenever you hear but, you're supposed to say, boy, things about to change now. And Rick Wayne says this, but let us not fool ourselves. The UWP honchos, it means the top people in the UWP, never wanted Frederick aboard their ship. Frederick, in case you didn't hear me the first time, the UWP honchos never wanted Frederick aboard their ship. Not Compton, not Osbert Devane, not any of his fellow candidates. It meant that the candidates of the 2006 election, people like Spider, I'm calling you out. Spider, Guy Joseph, Ezekiel Joseph, Rufus Bousquet, all those guys that ran the 26 election, they did not want you to be a candidate of the United Workers' Party. That's the absolute truth. Rick Wayne also writes, not even Stephenson King had welcomed Richard Frederick, of whom John Compton, prior to the Castries Central by-election, had said, I don't want to touch him even with a barge pole. You know how long a barge pole is? You know, Richard, when they say in St Lucia that you have to feed somebody with a long spoon, it means that Sir John took a long piece of bamboo, tie it in a long spoon, And not even by doing that did he want to touch you. That's how far he wanted you from the United Workers' Party. And then, you lie so much. But when you choose to lie, lie more elegant. You don't lie in the same paragraph, man. Lie, 5 paragraphs later and hope that we don't catch the lie. But here is what he did. He read this piece from Rick. He said, Rick Wayne said, even after Fred, you want him, I give him to you. And he stopped there. But you see, in the very next sentence, Rick goes on to write this. He says, that reminds me of a certain Pontius Pilate. Who is Pontius Pilate in the Bible, Richard Frederick? Y'all don't know your Bible, man. Anyways, listen. I brought the Bible tonight for Richard Frederick because I bring my Bible tonight. Richard, the book of truth will dismantle your lies tonight. Now, let's go to the good book. And I will tell you who Pontius Pilate is. You see, Rick Wayne give you such a dismissal. And you're not intelligent enough to know that Rick was puppy showing you. Now, in the book of Matthew, on this Sunday evening as we come to the church, Matthew chapter 27. Richard, take your Bible. I am reading the New King James Version. And I'm going to read one verse for you. Now, in Matthew chapter 27, in this passage, it was Jesus and Barabbas who were imprisoned. And then Pontius Pilate, as the custom did at that time, brought out Barabbas and Jesus before the crowd. And Pontius Pilate asked the crowd, do you want me to free the Christ or do you want me to free Barabbas? The crowd says, crucify the Christ and free Barabbas. You all know that, right? Yes. Amen. I'm speaking the truth. That's what the word says. But then now, when Pontius Pilate couldn't get his way with the crowd because he recognized that he had done nothing wrong, that is Jesus, he then went and he said to them, I wash my hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood that you are about to shed. You see it, you do what you want to do. And that is what Sir John did in Central Castries when he said to them, you want him, you have him. Sir John, just like Pontius Pilate, washed his hands because he wanted nothing to do with Barabbas in the United Workers' Party. Now, it's called the Bible, Richard. Read it and you will know to tell the truth. Let's go to page 7 of the same article. Now, I didn't even know that this article exists, Richard, until that you read it with your show. What's that guy name again? Regis, whatever his name. And he goes on to say this. Here is why Sir John didn't want you. On page 7 of the same article, paragraph number 3, it says, according to a U.S. Embassy cable leaked by WikiLeaks, now you all know about WikiLeaks? WikiLeaks, okay? The recently re-elected Compton had assured the visiting U.S. ambassador that things are in place to guarantee Richard Frederick never rises to power in his United Workers' Party. You see, Sir John knew what Kenny Anthony knew. Sir John knew what Stephen King also knew. And Sir John knew what Alan Chastanet also knew. And Philip J. Pear also knew what Alan Chastanet knew. But the difference between Alan Chastanet and Philip J. Pear is that Philip J. Pear is a weak leader. Every single prime minister that Richard Frederick has had to work with never wanted him in the government. But Richard goes on to say something that is so comical. He goes on to say that when he was expelled by the United Workers' Party, that Sir John would have been rolling in his grave. I am telling you, the UWP followers here tonight, that Sir John was not rolling in his grave. He was dancing in his grave. And he was saying to you, the delegates of the United Workers' Party, who rallied with your leader and gave him the blessing to expel the stage 1 cancer from the United Workers' Party. But you see, all jokes aside, I think that St. Lucia owes our leader, Alan Chastanet, a tremendous debt for the courage that he has had, the balls that he has shown. To get rid of the cancer from the United Workers' Party. And Alan Chastanet recognized that at the stage that we got rid of him, it was only at stage 1. So it was manageable. But still, we said, let's get rid of the cancer before it becomes more aggressive. Now, the cancer is behaving on TV as if he's at stage 4. He's unstoppable. He curses women. He calls people short. He abuses people with autism. He goes on there and he goes on these rants. He's the most abusive and despicable thing to have happened to the politics of this country. And we must never, ever welcome him into the fold of the United Workers' Party again. So, Richard Frederick, Sir John is not rolling in his grave. Sir John is dancing in his grave. Dancing in his grave. Now, let me deal with this autism thing. Now, I have got 20 minutes. I've got to cut a few things short. Richard Frederick says that I have autism. Now, you know, it's laughable. For the record, I don't have autism. But even if I had autism, I would prefer to be autistic than to have the United States revoke my visa. And the other thing I want to say to Richard Frederick is that we must never, ever be ashamed of autism. I want to say to parents who may have autistic children, that autistic children are some of the biggest geniuses that we've got. Listen to the line of autistic people in the world. The great footballer from Argentina, Lionel Messi, is autistic. Albert Einstein is autistic. Bill Gates is autistic. Sir Isaac Newton is autistic. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world today, one of the best scientists and innovators, is an autistic man. But Richard, your poor little narrow mind cannot conceive when you are offending yourself. And so, I mean, it then begs the question, what do you feel about Jeremiah? A cabinet colleague of yours with a disability. And I'm proud that at least this time Jeremiah told the truth. He came out and he said, I distanced myself from what Richard Frederick has said. And you know, we got to give it when it's good. And so, Jeremiah, the disabilities minister, did the right thing. I'm also proud of the Disabilities Association, who came out and said to Richard Frederick that this kind of political speech is not going to be allowed in the politics of this country. More salt on the back of the Quapo. Now, the other thing you said that was a lie. You said that the impacts report never ever pointed or fingered any minister. Now, you also took umbrage to the fact that I mentioned that you and Stephenson King should have been the ones who should answer. And I'll tell you why I said that. I said that because at the time of the impacts report, Stephenson King was the Prime Minister of the United Workers' Party cabinet. And as well, you, Richard Frederick, was the only minister within the cabinet that had your visa revoked. They didn't take Guy visa. They didn't take Chastanet visa. They didn't take Spider visa. Neither did they take Ezekiel's visa. And so why is it that the Americans are concerned about these extrajudicial killings there was an investigation launched into the period at the time, and you want me to worry about the people that have no stain on them? But it's you I have to ask the question. Dale Elliott asked the DPP whether Richard Frederick was fingered in the impacts report. And the DPP could not muster to say yes or no. He said, I'm not going to go there. So if the DPP could not say outrightly no, then what do you lead the public to believe? And so, Richard, why did you come to the defense of every single minister in the way that you did? You were very strong and you were very, very vibrant in your response to say that the impacts report had not fingered any minister. But let me read from Kenny Anthony's speech on the investigation. And I remember that very well because the UWP was pressuring Kenny Anthony to release the contents of the report. And I want to put it up and zoom in if you can, because Richard only shows fake documents on Can I Help You. This is not a fake document. You see how long I have that? I wrote on it, I scratch up on it. That document has been there since March of 2015. This is the speech that Kenny Anthony delivered on the impacts report. Now, on page 15 of the speech, I'm going to read one line for you, Richard. And it says this: revealingly, the report suggests that the crime problem in St. Lucia is facilitated by corrupt politicians, government officials, business persons, and police officers. All I'm asking you, Richard Frederick, who are the politicians that the impact report make mention of? That's all I'm asking. There's no need for you to jump up like a frog with salt on your back. Just tell us, what is it you know about politicians who are corrupt in the impacts report? Now, if you don't answer that question, I'm going to pour more salt on you. And you're going to have to do more jumping. And when you think that you're going to use up my salt, Rush Clark will pour more salt on your back. So Richard, the questions we're asking is very, very simple. But I have more questions as well, because you spent an entire 2 hours on Dominic Fede. Now, I am still standing. I am still rolling. That you didn't pour enough salt, and I am not a frog. I can swim in salt water. I can swim in sweet water. Okay? And Richard, the other thing I can do, I can go to my constituency during the day and during the night. I don't have to end my Christmas hampers delivery because it's getting dark. I don't have to tell the guys to drive the truck. I can go anywhere in Ancillary at 1, 2, 5, 4 in the morning, and I drive by myself. I don't need anybody to come with me. So when you talk, be careful what you say. Be careful how you handle yourself. Now, the producer is showing me that it's time to wrap up. You said a lot of things, Richard, about me. And one of the things you said is that you criticized an ambulance fund, which I launched. And I'm going to deal with that this coming week. And I want you to get ready, because I'm going to pour more salt on your back. I'm going to pour more salt on you. I'm going to make sure, Richard, that the lies you tell in Parliament, that we will expose you. The lies you tell on TV every Thursday, we will expose you. The lies you tell on the market steps, we will expose you, Richard. We are not the same passive United Workers Party that you know. We're going to take you on. We're going to demo to you. You are a liar, and we are going to expose you. I thank you very much, Mama Flavo.
Well, yes. From now on, I call you Small Axe. Yes. And you know, El Quapo is really in trouble. And, you know, I think he will have to choose. He will have to choose the people that he jump on more carefully. A frog should not jump on anyone with salt. You know, he talk about Richard lost his visa, and no other ministers lost their visa, no other ministers lost their account either. And you have to ask yourself, when a politician, a leading figure in a country, loses a visa, loses a bank account, what are the reasons for that? Fellas, I've reached this stage where sometimes my bank account got so low. You know they didn't close it? You know, why would they close your bank account? Tell us. Why would they take your visa? Tell us. These are the things that you have to deal with. Now, Dominic mentioned Jeremiah, and I must say, you must give kudos where kudos is due. That was very, very impressive on his part. Took a lot of courage, I know, considering the company that he keeps, for him to come out and condemn the statement made by Richard. But I just want to say to you, Jeremiah, don't wait until they step on your foot. No pun intended. Do not wait until they step on your foot for you to come out and speak. When he's attacking women, speak out as well. When he's attacking the dead, speak out as well. When he's attacking vendors, speak out as well. When he's attacking defenseless people, speak out as well. That will do you good. On your way out, that is. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted, to mention, and Dominic talked about the impact report. I will go there. Listen to like it is. There are many things we have to touch on. Because, you see, Richard liked to refer to archives. Well, guess what? I have access to Richard's archives. And when he's asking which minister that was mentioned in the impact report, I never got a copy of the impact report. It's the prime ministers that got copies of the impact report. Stephenson King never gave me a copy. It's not me, Kenny, will give a copy. Alan Chastanet never gave me a copy. But I will quote to you excerpts from the impact report that I have never seen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister, before I introduce the next speaker, because things are so hot there, I have to take 5 minutes to let things cool off. Before I introduce the next speaker, firebrand, peppery, will blow up the place, I suspect. And put the AC higher, please, from now. I just want to point out one thing. The Prime Minister, Philip J. came out the other day at a town hall meeting talking about, you see how I'm smiling? And they're wondering why I'm smiling? We know why you're smiling. We're smiling because of our CIP money that you all have done what you all have done with and you cannot account for. You're smiling because of the GPH deal that went down that you as Prime Minister preside over. You smiling because of the $450 million that we, St. Lucians, are going to be losing, but you don't care about it because you know what you and your colleagues are gaining. You're smiling because of the NLA, National Lotteries, $80 million that was borrowed for the upgrade for World Cup cricket, and we cannot see $8 million worth of work up to now. That's why you're smiling. So you're smiling because you know where the balance of the money went to. And we'll talk about that, because that has a lot to do with grocery. I heard one of the speakers start to talk about grocery. We will be talking more about grocery. You're smiling because of the halls of justice, the deal that you gave to the foreigners, all that money, where it will cost them $100 and something million, and we have to pay back $200 and something million. That's why you're smiling, because that extra $100 million, you know how it's going to be shared. That's why you're smiling. You're smiling because you think all the lies that you told before the last election that worked, that got your party into office, will keep your party in office. But guess what? At this moment, at this time, the rest of us are not smiling. The rest of us cannot smile. The rest of us will not smile until that day comes when we will do something about the fact that you are smiling so that we can smile. Because the rest of us cannot smile in the face of the kind of healthcare system that we have, where the Medical and Dental Association, as Marcella told you, has said that it is the worst that they have ever seen. People who are experiencing it firsthand, they told you so. We cannot smile because St. Jude's, that should have been open no more than 6 months after the last general election, almost 4 years now, it is still closed, with an extra $200 million being spent on it, and we have no end in sight as to when it is going to be reopened. And of course, the fact that you have abandoned the state-of-the-art hospital to go back to an 80-year-old building that was not built for that purpose and will never reach up to the standard, the international standard of what hospitals should be. We cannot smile. We cannot smile because up to today, work has not begun on the Hiwanura International Airport. By now, a UWP government would have been opening the Hiwanura International Airport. Now I don't know for the rest of you all. I cannot smile when I go to the supermarket. I cannot smile when I go to the supermarket. But I say I don't know for you all, but I just watch other people on the line too. They pushing one set of things forward, and check that for me still. And if they remain, they push that one, take that one out. You have to juggle when you go to the supermarket because cost of living is so high in this country. How can we smile under a situation like this? How can we? You know? Now, things are bad. Things are bad everywhere. Cost of living is high. There's inflation worldwide. But what governments do is to try to ameliorate that problem for the people. You expect me to smile when after cost of living is so high, you put a 2.5% on goods and services in this country to make the cost of living that is already high even higher. You expect me to smile? We cannot smile. Now, gas prices. While the price of oil on the international market goes down, the price of gas at the pump in St Lucia remains high. You expect us to smile? Now, let me just say something to you. Whether it has hit home, because maybe there's someone here who has experienced it hitting home, or not, it has come close enough to all of us where we see day after day murders taking place on the streets of this country. And when as a parent I thought I could probably tell my children, imagine telling young people, don't lie, don't go out. In a free country, in a democratic country, because you're afraid that they may not come back home. Even if they stay home today, people are getting killed in their own homes. And there is no discrimination whether child, adult, grandparents, elderly are victims of violent crime in this country. You are presiding, Philip here, personally I'm talking to you, while you are smiling, presiding over year after year of record murders in this country, because you are walking around with bodyguards, you can smile. The majority of us, the rest of us, cannot afford the security that is needed to keep us safe. We who have businesses have to spend extra money on cameras, on security, and so money that we could have used to invest in that business to make it better. We cannot be smiling. And when you tell me that last year broke the record of the previous year, that was a record. We have over 77 murders in this country, and not one of you, Minister of National Security, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Justice, Minister of Crime Prevention, has come out and opened your mouth to tell us, how are you going to make us safer in this country? How can we smile? We're not smiling with you, because this is a serious situation. The times that we're in this country is crucial times. Every one of us, as Laura has said, every one of us, as Josh has said, every one of us, as Marcella has said, must take a stand now. It is time for action. And you know what action we're going to take? We're going to kick them all out of office and bring our country back to respectability, safety, and progress. So, smile while you can. Laugh while you can. After all of this, you're laughing at us, you're laughing in our faces. That, too, will come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, I see you getting cold on me. You all are getting cold on me? No. I ain't vibrant like them other speakers, so. Well, you know what? Let me get off that mic. Let me put some heat in the place. I am now, I'm in charge of the flabo now. I taking out the kerosene and I put in gas. We're putting gas in the flambeau now. Ladies and gentlemen, the man they would love to get rid of, but they can't do nothing with. They have come with allegations and accusations and all kinds of mepui, but they can't stop him. He is on a march back to Parliament, and he will once again be the representative for Castries South East. They can't fight him, so they're fighting with themselves. I heard they have how many people fighting to come up against him. Let them destroy each other while Guy cruises back to office. I'm talking about the right guy. I'm talking about the real guy. I'm talking about the guy. I want to introduce to you the next deputy political leader of the United Workers' Party, the next parliamentary representative of Castries South East, Guy Joseph, who will light up the place.
Let's see how I get this mic together. Good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again on Sunday Live. Now, I will never try to outdo what my colleague, Deputy Political Leader Dominic Fede did tonight. You have to give respect where respect is due. And my colleague did a fantastic job. You see, the firepower of the United Workers' Party is coming into play now. Because too many times we have allowed ourselves to be distracted. Richard Frederick should not be the only subject of discussion. And I think you cannot add to what Dominic has said. Dominic has said enough between him and Spider. Except I will say, there's something that frogs are more afraid of than salt. Bleach. So you should ask Alva to send you a gallon of chemical. From the chemical he is still using at St. Jude to polish the tongue of Richard Frederick, so he will stop saying the nonsense he's saying on a Thursday night on TV. I want to take the opportunity, as you'd see I'm dressed differently from my colleagues, to express my condolences to the family of Mr. Patrick Prescott of Lacroix in my constituency. If when I had a meeting, one person came from Lacroix, it was Mr. Patrick Prescott. And today he was laid to rest, and I extend condolences to his family. Also, a young man was killed not too long ago in the community of Mac, and the mother is a very strong supporter of the United Workers' Party, Miss Kafia Calendar. And then the mother of all flambeaus, the Miss Adrienne from CDC in Badney, she also passed away. I'm wondering why so many of our flambeaus are dying. But I know poor healthcare is a contributor to the number of people who are dying in this country. And violent crime. I have to extend my condolences to the family of this young lady who was so brutally murdered. And we have to pause for a moment and ask ourselves, is there a government in office in St. Lucia today? Are there women in this government? Because when you see these things and there's not a voice for the voiceless, we have to ask ourselves, where are we heading? I will seek to remind you and myself of some important things tonight You see, while some see politics as a path to fame and fortune, not all politicians fall in the same bracket. Some see it as a way to serve and improve the life of the population. There are many persons who come into the political arena, and because they have some clout and they can win a seat, they want to be paid to run a seat. I say to people, UWP is not in the business of paying people twice. And many of us have made great sacrifices to serve our country. And across from me there, I look at a man in the person of Leonard Spider Montoute, who ran so many elections for the United Workers' Party. And he made that move at great personal and economic sacrifice to himself and his family to be able to serve the people of Grozile. And no matter what anybody says, very few politicians in the history of St. Lucia have done more for Grozile than Leonard Spider Montoute did during his tenure. Because Spider is not into elective politics anymore, does not mean that we can overlook his contribution to the development of Grozile. And so I salute Lou as my colleague, as having worked together with you. You see, the call to service is one that is often met with ungrateful recipients. As long as you can do, people like you. You will do 100 things for them. The day you cannot do one, you are the worst person. We suffer that as politicians because that's the nature of our society. But I believe that what you do has to be for the greater good and must have a positive impact on the people of the country. Now, how did I get into the political arena? I've said little snippets here and there. These two people sitting in the corner there, Miss Barbara Montoute and Leonard Spider Montoute, were the first persons who tried to convince me to come into the political arena. And Barbara would recall, she was my banker at Grozile, Bank of St. Lucia branch. And she was at me to run the seat. I was doing well enough in life outside of politics. I'm not like these fly-by-night politicians who all of a sudden, they couldn't pay child support. But now they can buy brand new SUVs, and they can buy property, and they can build villas and condos, and they can have up to 12 loans, and you wonder where. Where is it possible from the meager salary? When I came into politics, I didn't know what the salary of a politician was. My 2 buses on the Grozile route made me more money than I made as a minister of government. But you see, some of us have a track record of how we accumulated what we had. And that is what Labour Party cannot deal with. Because we have a leader in the United Workers' Party who they cannot find fault with him when it comes to his finances and the wealth of his family. So they try to go after you. And Marcella, your turn is coming. They will come after you because they don't understand hard work. Some of them, They never worked anywhere in their life other than for government. After I left school, my first job, I worked as a supervisor for 1 year, and I said, "Guy, you wasting your time working for people." I was man enough before I turned 20 to become self-employed and to have people employed working for me, and I had to make sure I could pay their salaries every fortnight. But today, once you enter the political arena, people want to label you and brand you as if that's the only place you got to know money. But these same people accuse me of having trucks and heavy equipment and buses. And when I came into politics, I was building my third house. I want St. Lucians to understand that sometimes it is not encouraging being in this arena because you give of your best and all you get. And I can deal with the politics, you know, because I know how Labour Party operates. I was invited to be a member of the Labour Party and to challenge Menisa Rambali in a runoff to be the candidate for Castries Southeast. I had told Kenny Anthony by 1998, after he was given an overwhelming mandate of 16-1, that he was taking the country in the wrong direction, and there's no way I could continue to support his government under St. Lucia Labour Party. So I became public enemy number 1. I was still president of the National Council on Public Transportation. So it's not today Labour does not like Guy Joseph. It's not because I entered the political arena in 2006. And I cannot say thanks to Barbara. Sorry, Barbara. I did not want to contest a seat because I was making a comfortable living. I did my best to help Sir John find a candidate. And anything that I get involved in, I give it 100%. If I cannot give 100%, I don't get involved. So when Sir John was leader, I gave him 100%. When Stevenson King became leader, I gave him the same support I am giving to Alan Chastanet today as the political leader of the United Workers' Party. And Spider is there among those who ran the elections with us and can testify to what I am saying here. My family has never encouraged me to be in politics. I didn't try to say, you know, I heard somebody who wants to enter politics say there's an ambassadors club in Forest here. And we have asked everybody in the community, what is that ambassadors club? And nobody knows what it is. But you see, when people want to enter the political arena, they invent things about themselves that never existed before they had a political thought of getting into the politics. As a community man, I always worked in clubs. I sponsored events from 1995. I didn't dream of being in politics. And when Sir John, I was involved in community service, I did everything that a good citizen of a community who is community-oriented would do. Not ever thinking that I would be in the political arena. Late in 2005, Sir John asked me, after Barbara prompted him, by telling him that I was the only person who could win Castries Southeast. And I will tell you, during that time, Clarence Rambali was campaigning for Menisa in Bexon, and he was campaigning for Spider in Grosile. I want you to understand the political arena. And Clarence was also of the view that the only person who could possibly win Castries Southeast was myself. So Sir John came to me and he said to me, I need you to run the seat. I said, no, Sir John, I'm not interested in running the seat. I'd just become the first elder of my church that same year. And I went to the pastor and I said to him, if I'm going to venture into the political arena, I'm going to step down, because I don't bring God's church into the political arena. I want St. Lucians to pause for a moment and understand, when you all want to give people basket to go and take water, your turn will come. Your turn will come in due course. So let us be careful what we do and what we say. And I said to Sir John, I will help you find a candidate, but I'm not interested. And Sir John told me something. He said, look here, if I wanted another candidate, I could find them. I don't need you to find me a candidate. I need you to be the candidate. And this is what he said to me that convinced me to enter the political arena. Said, as a young man, when I came back to St. Lucia, and I saw what this country was, the ladies working on the farms, barefooted, children not having school to attend, people using water from the rivers, and bilharzia and tuberculosis was prevalent in St. Lucia. Sir John said he could not remain with the Labour Party. He had to get out and do something to save this country and to rescue it. And for 30 years in the political arena, Sir John fought every battle there was to fight, to develop this country, to build roads, to build schools, to develop the airport, to make Grosile what it is today. And you know what? Sir John said to me, you know what touched me? He said, Guy, after all this work, when I came into the political arena, I came in fighting the Bernards. And I am seeing at my age, a Bernard is destroying all what I built in this country over the 30 years. And I'm asking you to help me rescue St. Lucia. Not for myself, because the age I am at, I am doing it for you, the younger people, the younger generation. And you going to tell me you will help me, but you cannot be a candidate? And I said to myself, if you're going to complain about it and do nothing about it, then you are part of the problem. And that is how I ventured into the political arena. But I want you to understand, if SLP had not destroyed the SLBGA, St. Lucia Banana Growers Association, and replaced it with SLBC and all the fragmentations in the banana industry, the banana industry would still be doing reasonably well in this country. That was the beginning of the destruction of the St. Lucia Labour Party. The first time I ever went to court in my life was when Claudius Francis took me to court, because when I was president, they wanted us to shut down the country for 2 weeks prior to elections. And I said, you're not going to use the Minibus Association to shut down this country. I said, you're all going to win the election 17, not because Vaughan was a complete waste of time. Okay? So why you want to do that? He said, no, we ain't taking no chances. He took me to court. I won my case. I'd never been to court before that. You see, Labor divided the industry. And they were not satisfied. Between Kenny and Philip J. Pierre, they have appointed the two worst possible ministers of agriculture in the history of this country, Moses Musa Jabatis and Prosper. Between the two of them, you don't know which one is worse. And famine, which is the livelihood of most of the people in the rural communities, have been destroyed completely by the St. Lucia Labour Party. So, Pierre dit, mahe pli fig. Bay pate jamais do fig fini St. Lucia. So, there's not even bananas to eat. SLP, when they came into office, destroyed the public service. And I still cannot understand how any right-thinking public servant in this country can vote for the St. Lucia Labour Party. St. Lucia, every public servant had a pension at the end of their tenure, and they got a gratuity at the end of the period. You remember after 2001 elections, Kenny did away with it and put everybody on the NIC. But you know what the problem is? When you retire at 55 and you have to wait until 65 to get your pension, what do you do between these 10 years? And I saw a lady come to me in my office and said to me, she showed me her payslip. After she paid her mortgage, she had 79 cents left. That is what the St. Lucia Labour Party did to the people who work hard to build a world-class public service in this country. Kenny destroyed that with a stroke of a pen. And the Labour Party, Philip J. Pierre, was next to him when he did it. We must teach our children. We must tell the younger generation where this country came from and how we got to where we are today. You see, pause for a moment and think of another 5 years under Philip J. Pierre. You see, we need to see the big picture tonight. And I'm talking to St. Lucia. I'm not talking just to Flabos. St. Lucia belongs to all of us. You know, think of these things. Think of crime. For another 5 years under Philip J. Pierre. Think of the healthcare system for another 5 years. Think of the cost of living. Think of victimization and corruption. And ask yourself, can it get worse? And I can tell you, if there's one thing the Labour Party is good at, is making things worse than it is. So when you think it cannot go lower, it will go lower. What is left to sell in this country? They have sold our ports. The airport is on the verge of being sold. They have sold our banana lands. And our passports are being sold below market price. I say to St. Lucia, the next thing that is left to be sold will be you and I. Because le Philip J. Pierre ek le ba pa henanye pou vanako, yo ka commence vendre se moun na a pays. That is what they are going to be selling. You see, there are some things I need you to understand. Why you think SLP stopped the K9 unit? Has any explanation been given for why the K9 unit was stopped. Well, I will tell you what I derive as to why it was stopped. They stopped it for a period of time to allow enough guns and ammunition to come into the country. That is responsible for all the crime and the murders that are happening indiscriminately in this country. So now Lana say gun, you are Kinoshia Tyson. So if K9 was not good, why are you trying to bring back K9? Because the guns you wanted to come in have come in. Why was there no chairman for Integrity Commission for a whole year? So, tout vole a kiten bu vole a ha vole. Tout moun ha sewe ba koyoten bu sewe. So all of a sudden they have now appointed a chairman. So what is the chairman going to check? Because things have passed. You see, they had enough time to hide. So election coming, so they're making you believe that they are doing something. My fear of where we are as a country. We had to deal with St Lucia after Hurricane Thomas. Stevenson King was in Barbados. I want you all to remember that. You know who was in St Lucia? Spider? Yes. Alan Chastanet, myself. It was Alan and I who went around St Lucia on a helicopter and saw the devastation that had happened to this country. And we set to work. Rebuilding St Lucia after Hurricane Thomas was a lot easier than we would have it when we return to office, when Philip J. Pierre calls the next election. Philip J. Pierre is worse than COVID-19. He has destroyed this country far more than what COVID-19 did. It is going to take a national effort to rescue this country. And I want Flabos to begin to think differently. You're not just a supporter of the United Workers' Party. You have a part to play in saving your country. And you have to go and knock on every door in your community and tell the people the importance of saving our country. There's no hope with Philip J. Pierre. UWP and the political leader will need all the help that we can get in order to save St. Lucia. I can spend time talking about SLP, but they are a complete waste of time. We need to make a shift, and we need to begin to get St. Lucia to understand that the only government with a plan for this country is the United Workers' Party. I want to tell the Labour Party, when you want me, I'm here. Because the lies you all told about me, time is running out. The time you all have to get Guy is now. So make your move, because I'm waiting. How many lies will you continue to tell about me without a shred of evidence? But I want to assure the people of St. Lucia as I wrap up that if there is one thing I will see to it when we return to office, is that healthcare insurance is implemented for every St. Lucian. No more GoFundMe, no more cake sale, and no more barbecue for healthcare. A United Workers' Party will guarantee healthcare insurance for every St. Lucian. And I want you to know, even though we've not put out our new manifesto, our 2021 manifesto gives a clear description of what we plan to do. I want to tell you, in 2011 manifesto, the Labour Party said between 2011 and 2016, they would implement universal health care. 2016 hapase, ipafet. Between 2011 and 2016, it did not happen. They said it again in 2021. Look, we in 2025. Healthcare is the worst it has ever been in this country. I also want to tell you, SDG, Sustainable Development Goal number 3 of the United Nations, is that access to quality healthcare and affordable healthcare. And that is one of the areas of focus for the United Workers' Party. SLP has proven they cannot do it. Alan Chastanet has proven he can do it. I wish I had more time, but I will close. You can go to page 38 of the St Lucia Labour Party manifesto, and you will see they said they would implement health care, but they have not. But I want, there's a page that I must touch before I close. And I want you, it is this page here. And if the camera can show it, I want the people to see what I have there. The criminals that Labour Party spoke about in their 2011 manifesto. Now, government minister gets arrested. Another creditor demands payment from Minister Mondesi. And then they have a dark picture of somebody that looked like El Guapo. And the question that is next to it, could a murderer be St. Lucia's next prime minister? These are not Guy Joseph words. That's why Labour don't like me. Because we go back to the archives and we show them. Now, King bends over for Wycliffe. So what is he bending over for now, Pierre? I want the Labour Party to tell me what King is bending over for now. Okay? And next to Stevenson King's picture is Lady Janice, and it says, who threatened Lady Janice? But you see, Guy is not a pretender. And with Stevenson King written in yellow, none of us are safe. That is what the Labour Party said in 2011. It's in the manifesto. Today they want to tell you, senior minister, you think is today Steve is a betrayer? You think is today he is incompetent? We covered up for his incompetence in government. Because you know what? When he came from Barbados and he found me on the Shock Bridge, he brought some tea for me in a flask. And he left me there and he went home. And I left my home on Sunday afternoon with Alan Chastanet. We went around the island. And I got back to my home on Monday afternoon about 3 o'clock. I slept for 1 hour and I told my sister, wake me up. And I was back on the road because we had to open the Shock Bridge to rebuild confidence in the people of St. Lucia that we had this thing under control. And Bonte. Okay? So I want St. Lucia to pause for a moment. Labour cannot find fault with Guy's performance in government. That's right. Because I've always been a worker. I was a worker before I came into politics, and outside of politics, I'm still a worker. but I'm proud to be a member of the United Workers' Party. Everyone there, with the exception of one person, is now affiliated to the St Lucia Labour Party, or has been affiliated. Mondesi, King, Richard, you name them. Why? What explanation have they given to us for this? But you see, they will try to. That's why Pierre is laughing, you know. He's laughing at the ability to fool the people. And he talk about, you know, when I said the man is a deg-deg, I was not referring to deg-deg in the context of people who are challenged. I was talking about deg-deg in our local parlance. You can be a normal person. But when you make stupid decisions, people ask you, are you a deg-deg? That was the context. But they tried to go after the association of persons with. No, we don't even, and I like to be correct. We don't even call people disabilities now. People who are differently able. It's not that they cannot do anything. They can do things. They just do it differently from us. And I will tell you, Richard Frederick, Philip Japian, all of you, my wife is a specialist in that area. She has written books for people who teach at universities, professors to use, about children who are autistic, children who are challenged in different ways. That's her area of specialty. So when you want to come and talk to us, know what you are saying to us. St. Lucia, we need to wake up out of where we are today. And we need to realize that the Labour Party is a failure. And there's nothing they can do to change the course on which we are. I have the manifesto, they have both, you know. And I can tell you, we are nowhere where we need to be. But I have the St. Jude report there. The next Sunday live, I will deal with it. And I will show you what their own report says about St. Jude. But I want to tell you, the achievements of labor, highest taxation ever, highest fuel prices ever, highest cost of living ever, highest cost of building material, highest cost of cooking gas, more taxes, and highest crime ever. And the most lies ever told in the history of politics in St. Lucia is by this St. Lucia Labour Party. It is time we get rid of them once and for all. I thank
you. Wow. So you see now why they're going after our deputies. But Guy is here. Now, they came with the bluff and all the things that Guy did. Guy did so many things, I said to myself, boy, I wasn't in St. Lucia during that time. They appointed a special prosecutor. So all labor rights agree well, Guy Kaipon. The special prosecutor has been drawing a salary on our tax money for going to 2 years now, and I don't think he has even put one pen to a paper as yet. When questioned by his own people, because I mean he fooled the people into voting for him, they voted for him because some of them want to see Guy go to jail. They asking him, well, what about the special prosecutor and Guy Joseph? You know what he said to them? If you have a case, bring it to the special prosecutor. In other words, I have no case. I mean, St. Lucians, you cannot allow yourself to be taken for a ride like this. That's why he's laughing. You know? And then he's looking at us in the face and laughing at us. You know, before I forget, let me just mention tomorrow, because, you know, we can't have a Sunday live or a town hall meeting and I don't remember Skinny. You know? And this was a real gentleman and a hard worker. Tomorrow, Skinny will be laid to rest at 2 p.m. at the Cathedral in Castries. I invite all of you who can to please, come and pay your last respects as we lay him to rest. And let me just say this, as I talk about Skinny. El Guapo has found himself attacking the dead. I mean, he has attacked Skinny. He has attacked other people who have died. And right now, he's telling lies about Compton. El Guapo claimed that Compton embraced him when the evidence is there that Compton never did. And I don't know, some clever person on one of the chat groups placed a picture of Richard and Kenny and Richard and Compton. In both pictures, you see Richard embracing the people, his whole hand around them. Kenny pointing at something they're not even watching him. Well, a shame. Kenny don't know how to tell the man, just get out of here. But he's embracing Compton. But Compton is holding his shoulders and pushing him back. I mean, Richard has no shame, honestly. And you want to tell people that Compton embraced you. You tried to embrace Compton. Compton never embraced you. Even Stephenson King. Now, Guy said that King has been betraying people for a long time. Now, don't think Richard is my partner, But I want to make the idiot wise. King has betrayed him and will betray him again. Because I was acting prime minister when Richard was arrested. King traveled, and I'm prepared to say it was well orchestrated before he traveled. And King knew everything about it. There's only so much I will say. Okay? So when it comes to betraying people, King is good at that. I remember, and Guy is there, Alan Chastanet is there. When Guy visa, just now they'll take his passport. When Richard visa was revoked, okay, we said we cannot go into an election with a situation like this. We must ask Richard to step down. We went to a meeting. I've said so before. King was prime minister and political leader of the party. He never asked Richard to step down. I remember I saying to him, but I thought we came here to ask Richard to step down. Well, you can imagine things Richard said about me. Okay? Eventually, Richard was asked to step down, but he was asked to step down as minister. The position among us was that the feeling was that we cannot go into an election with Richard as a candidate. Okay? We had not finalized everything, but that was the sentiment among us. The next rally we had after that happened was in Denry North. I was master of ceremonies. I can remember that distinctly. Nancy and myself were master of ceremonies. Unfortunately for me, when it was my turn at the podium, Richard made his appearance like he likes to do, a grand appearance, and he was coming through the crowd and so on. And he was crying. And so I turned back and I said to King, but I thought Made was not supposed to be part of this. He said, don't worry about it, introduce him. Now, man, I try to be a team player. I play sports, I play football, cricket, a lot of team sports. I say, well, as a team player, let me do my best. The best I could have mustered was, here comes the representative for Castries Central. You do not need a visa to go to the House of Assembly. And I paid the price for that. And we brought Richard onto the platform, crying, the hypocrite. Now I reflect on these things and I say, I can never find myself in such situations again. And at that moment, King betrayed us because Richard should not have been on that platform that day. Okay? King just didn't have the gall, he didn't have the guts to say to Richard, you need to step down as a leader. Now, you may wonder where I'm going with this. A leader must have courage. A leader must be prepared to sometimes take uncomfortable and even unpopular decisions. I respect a leader who takes a stance on principle. You want to see where I'm going yet? Yes. So all of y'all know I'm not talking about Philip J. Pierre. It is one thing I must say. Richard, say what you want. His fence has fallen now, and everybody jumping over that. No problem. But in his day, he was ferocious, he was threatening, he was intimidating. According to Kenny, he was frightening. People didn't tackle Richard just so. asking about that. But Alan Chastanet became the political leader of the United Workers' Party. And Guy stood here and he said, give respect where respect is due. I suspect Guy was talking to me. So let me give respect where respect is due. I respect Alan Chastanet for leading the United Workers' Party in taking that decision that was taken. But I am one who believes that one good turn deserves another. And when you do something good for me, I'm not a greedy fellow, but I always look for more. So, I'm saying to the same Alan Chastanet, your work is not done. You now have to take back the reins of government with your team. And I want you and your team to get rid of Richard Frederick once and for all in the politics of St. Lucia. Because Richard is the biggest blight that has ever plagued the politics of St. Lucia. Okay? And when Richard wanted to come and give himself props and credits by associating himself with people who were not there to defend themselves, like Sir John. Okay? Sir John embraced you. And he talked about Sir John must be rolling in his grave. Well, you know when Sir John was rolling in his grave? When the UWP got rid of Richard Frederick, he was rolling in his grave laughing, saying, and you know what he was saying? Finally, you all see what I was telling you all. Because Sir John was forced to accept Richard when he did not want him. And you heard what Dominic read to you? What poll he used? A badge poll. Okay, a badge poll. They're still measuring to let me know how long a badge poll is. Okay? I am saying so to you. Richard Frederick is claiming the victory of 2006. And I've said it before. The main factor for that victory was the return of Sir John Compton. And if Guy Joseph wasn't here, I would tell you some more. But there was a fella who came into the politics at that time, a firebrand, who went up for Castries Southeast. He made a difference too. Okay? I'm not saying Richard did not make a difference. Yes, he did. But don't take the credit. But Richard, I'm not denying you credit and not giving you credit. Let me give you your credit. The 2011 election that we lost, you were the main factor why we lost. You are the main reason why we lost. And I'm making a prediction. And after this election, I will insist that you all call me Prophet Spider. The same Richard Frederick will bring down the St. Lucia Labour Party at the next general election. Okay? Because I know that many of the candidates on that team, many of the ministers, many of the members of cabinet are not comfortable with him, are not happy with him, but they do not have the guts to stand up and get rid of him. And the Prime Minister is compromised. He sees the damage that Richard is doing, but he cannot do a thing about it. Okay? And you know what? At the end of the day, I want to share my experience with them. We did not make the right move when we should have in 2011. We paid the price. You all still have a chance to make the right move, or you'll pay the price. Now, it's not like I'm supporting them, I just feel, I can share my experience with them, so they cannot say, at the end of the day, I didn't tell you so. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the bright prospects that exist. Because if we talk about what's going on now, you will not be smiling, you will not be laughing. Only Philip J. Pierre can laugh and smile about what is going on right now. So let me give you some hope. Let me shine some light to you. Albeit, the light is not right on this spot, it is just ahead of us. Fortunately, time is a great revealer, time is a great healer, and time is approaching where we'll be healed. So, at the next poll, at the next general election, you have the bright hopes of the United Workers' Party candidates. I know 7 of them. I suspect 8 of them. And I'll find out who is the other 2. If you want to know who they are, come to Dennery on the 2nd of March, and I will tell you who they are. I will not be the one telling you. The people who ought to tell you will tell you. I can assure you that I'm totally satisfied, totally pleased. After 24, I quit in 2021. So after 20 years of elective politics in the United Workers' Party, I am saying to you, I am happy, I am proud, and I'm satisfied with the slate of men and women that I see that are being presented to the electorate of St. Lucia to rescue our country, because like Guy tell you, there is work to be done, a lot of work to be done. And so, while there are those who are inexperienced, I know they have a track record in their own field. They are bright people, ambitious people, industrious people who will work on our behalf. And of course, they will be ably led by Alan Chastanet, who is a visionary. They will be ably assisted by Dominic and Guy, who have proven themselves and have a track record in government. So I say to you, I have nowhere to go. I have only one passport. So I want this country to be a place where I can reside, where it can be my haven, and I can find refuge in this country at all times. That business of everything I have to think about security, I'm afraid to go where I used to go before. I can't walk by myself. No, I'm not brave like Dominic. I don't go everywhere. You know? And if Richard the bully is afraid to be out at night, that is an admission of what they have done to our country. That is an admission of what they have done to our country. But I am pleased, I am happy, I am proud to say to you that it is not all doom and gloom. There is a party called the United Workers' Party that has more than once come to rescue St. Lucia. There is a leader, just like John Compton, who has in the past rescued St. Lucia. And so, I present you St. Lucia's hope. I present you St. Lucia's bright future. I present to you the man that will make all the difference when the time has come. And I want to say to you, this man is our political leader, the leader of the opposition, the member of parliament for Miku South. Please welcome Alan Michael Chastanet.
Good night, everyone. Happy Sunday to all. And praise be to the Lord for another day. First of all, I want to acknowledge my two deputy political leaders for an outstanding job tonight in their presentations. It's not easy to come here on a regular basis and continue to bring the information to everyone and to remain inspired, invigorated, and more importantly, to continue to do the research to expose this government for what they're doing. So I really want to thank both of them for their support on a daily basis, but also for their continued energy in fighting the fight that we're fighting. So again, thank you, gentlemen. I think we all can say that we've seen a very different side to Spider. In hosting his show on Monday nights, holding on for Nancy on Thursdays, hosting our press conferences, and he is there. He's up to date on all of the material that he's presenting. And the great thing about Spider is that he's a wealth of information. He was sitting in the front row, and so he has a unique opportunity of giving evidence and details to things which would not normally be what a person, a publicist is doing. So he is really had been extraordinary, Spider, and I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for everything that you've been doing. And there are things that he's doing behind the scenes that most of us don't know about, and a lot of the persons who are candidates here would know that he's been hosting the Senate on Wednesday nights in Gros Islet. He has been personally going around with the candidates, the new candidates, and helping them and orientate them into what has to be taken. So again, thank you very much. And very, very importantly, you show up here every Sunday regardless of where we go in the country. And I want to thank all of you, and particularly all of you who are online. I see that we've broken 1,000 live viewers tonight. And that includes the persons in the diaspora who continue to support us, who continue to encourage us. And if they see 1 week go by that we have not held a press conference or a Sunday live, they give us our business right away. So again, thank you for your energy, and thank you for your overall commitment. Tonight, we heard a young lady speak in the form of Marcella Johnson. And I want to say that I saw some of the slanderous allegations that were put out against her. Now, the fact is they use a person called Simple. And Simple did not get the name Simple for nothing, right? So I have to imagine that Marcella is a little bit more complicated than Simple. And so therefore, if she was looking to influence anybody, I'm not so sure she would have looked for a simple way to do it. But Marcella's track record and her success, both as a mother and as a businesswoman and as a woman coming up, starting off in the constituency of Toulouse, is amazing. And the fact is that Marcella is coming into politics after she has made a success of herself. Not before, after. And I can speak authoritatively on this issue because when we were doing the interviews and the background checks on all of the candidates that we were looking to bring in the case of Marcella, her house was her own house, her car was her own car, and the money that she had made up to now was her own money. And I am fully satisfied that Marcella was already successful and is entering into politics to share with the people of Groselet and with the women throughout the length and breadth of St Lucia her success. That's right. Compared to other people who appear to be coming into politics with no track record but looking to make success from politics. There's a difference. And we must stand our ground now, that when people try to malign people who have good character and who are coming into politics with good intentions, we must stand our ground and say, no, we're not going to accept that. And particularly when it comes from a camp that in the recent weeks cannot explain how they're purchasing land, how they are building homes, and are only now maybe beginning to understand why transparency and accountability is required in governance. When we said in the House, when the NLA loan was going through, that there should have been a condition to the guarantee, to have forced and compelled the NLA board, which was not designed for construction. The NLA board was put in place to provide oversight of our lottery, to make sure the lottery is working properly. It was not designed to build stadiums. It was not designed to do construction work. That was not the purpose of the NLA. So when we said in the House that there should have been a condition to the guarantee that would have forced the NLA to have adopted the same procurement guidelines. Procurement guidelines are basically the rules on how you're supposed to be executing capital works. That should have been a condition. But no, we're trying to prevent progress. We don't want to see things happen. And what happens? $80 million worth of contracts have been given at the NLA, and not one person in St. Lucia has been informed what was the process to select those contractors. None of us have a clue on what the work is. But let us take sense from the whole thing. The Darren Sammy Stadium, when it was first built, cost $22 million. 22 million is what it cost. And here it is, we're being told that they've borrowed $80 million for its refurbishment. And I can tell you that there are persons who are doing work who walked off the job because of the amount of shortcuts that were being played. If you remember, I went and took some photographs a couple of days before the tournament began. And they criticized me, right, for showcasing the fact that they were working overtime to try to complete the project. Even the road, Beausenjou Road, right? Do you remember my very good friend Reno? He's now become the spokesperson of the Labour Party. Whether it be St. Jude, whether it be roadworks, whatever, right? He's the person that's coming out there to be able to defend them. And he came out to talk about how happy he was about fixing up the road, the Beausenjou Road, and then preparations for the event, the cricket that was going to be taking place. Yeah? And then when it became clear he was not going to finish the road, he came back out and said that in 6 weeks' time he'll finish the road. Are we talking about, what, over a year ago now? And the road now is worse than when he first began. So if you are going to make allegations of integrity against anybody else, the first thing you must do is look in the mirror and ask yourself, as a young person, because that's what your defense is we should not attack you because you are a young person. And we should encourage young people. Well, the person who should be encouraging young people and setting the example for young people is you. And I want to say to the young people of this country, it's okay to be angry sometimes. It's okay to hold adults accountable sometimes. Especially when the resources that are being misused belong to you. $800,000 a month is being siphoned from the NLA to pay back the loan. So for 15 years, the young people are going to be deprived of $800,000 a month. Monies that were to be used to help sponsor sporting events. Monies to be used to pay for traveling of sporting teams to go and compete internationally. Monies to be used to give scholarships to young people. Monies to be used to support the academy.
School sports.
Has all school sports. All of that has gone. We, also the adults, must be outraged. And instead, what are we seeing? We're seeing that a contractor who we now know is related to the minister. You remember the famous interview in the press room when he was asked who was the contractor? He said, I remember the name of the company, but I don't remember the name of the person, and blah, 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 blah. And that never came back again. Right? Well, guess what? The person was his cousin. Maybe that's why he knew his name and didn't know the name of the company. And the same cousin was on Facebook boasting about the number of jobs that he was getting in the constituency of Gros Islet. Not us. On his own Facebook site. Talking about roads that he was fixing. Work that he was doing. When was it put out to bid? Do any of us know how much that work cost? How much he was paid? And does he and not the leadership of the Labour Party not understand the conflict that has been created? And then you have a situation where you have a lawyer who was a board member, but now is the lawyer for the entity, who is also the lawyer on all the documents of the land purchases.
Really?
Really? This is our money. And this is the same person who wants to throw stones. Well, I can tell you that you have picked the wrong fight, because the Marcella Johnson that I know, and I've gotten to know even better, can fall down so many times, but will be back up stronger than she ever was before, because she has a commitment. She has a commitment to share her secret to success, that she doesn't want to keep the success to herself, but she wants to make sure that every other person is also equally successful. So we have some powerful women who are coming up in this election. We have a young lady that spoke earlier tonight. I passed by her. I hope you don't mind. I can say what I told you. And I said to Laura, "Welcome to politics." Right? We can always talk about how we want to support our women and everything else, but when it comes to wanting to be in a position of power, to be in the position of representation, people know no boundaries. And Laura is in a tough situation. We have a situation in Labri, which I believe over the history of politics in the politics in St Lucia, that the United Workers' Party has only won one polling division, and I believe we've won that polling division in 3 elections. I don't know if I'm correct, Laura. Okay? And so let us give it to Laura that under those circumstances, that she is fighting to represent her people against those odds. And it takes a special person to believe that they can go up against that kind of machinery and that kind of history. But in the case of Laura, and it's also applicable to so many of our other constituencies, that for too long, the Flabos have acted independently in our party. For too long, our Flambos have had where they think this is right and this is wrong, and they want to have a significant amount of say in the party. And I welcome that. But after the discussion takes place and a decision is made, we must all come together and remember, we are Flabo! And to all those Flabos who've either not voted in the past or for whatever reason, grievance they may have had with the party and chose to vote against the party, the experiment is over. We have seen 4 years where the Labour Party has had an opportunity to once more again prove that they can run this country, and they have failed again. And it is time for you to come home back to the United Workers' Party. It's time for you to stop believing the secrets, the lies, and the propaganda, because every day we see the same thing. Let me give you an example. When I chose to speak out about how a gentleman called Peter James was treated, where he was in a car accident and unfortunately lost both his legs. And I'm now going to say it because I've given all the authorities all the time to say what the reason why he was sent home. Peter James was sent home because he needed the bed. Okay? That's why he was sent home. He was sent home because he needed the bed. All right? And when he got home that day, he died. The point of me bringing it up was again to speak to the heartlessness, the callousness, the lack of a conscience of the Labour Party, and in particular, Jeremiah. And in particular, Jeremiah, because Jeremiah benefited from prayers when he had his accident. Everybody jumped into action. A young guy loses his leg in a motorbike accident. Everybody was sympathetic. This happened in 2021, February of 2021. We are in February of 2025. 4 years later. I want you all to remember those dates because I'm going to come back to that. So I pointed out that here it was, a constituent of Jeremiah's. Right? A constituent. I did not say that he was a supporter of Jeremiah. Jeremiah is the one who came out and told us that he wasn't an ordinary constituent. He was a special constituent. He supported him. So much so that Peter James had a bumper sticker of Jeremiah's on his car. That's how close he was with Peter James. And the question was, why didn't you do anything to help Peter James? That is the question. And I said, you were the rep. You were the Minister of Disabilities. And you also had the unique perspective that you yourself were involved in an accident in which you lost your leg. Now, I have colleagues of mine here who were in cabinet. Guy, Dominic, Spider, Fortuna, especially Fortuna. If a minister of government comes to cabinet and brings up a special case for a person from their constituency, and it also happens that the assistance to that individual will come from that same minister's ministry. So let's take it from a second. So Jeremiah is the representative for Mico North. He's a minister of government, so he is in cabinet. And he's also the minister of disabilities. So as his rep and as the minister of disabilities, he would have had the leverage, the position to have appealed to cabinet to help Peter James. Whether it's distress fund, they say that they have, so there's no excuse. They say they put it back in place. That's what it's there for. Okay? But Jeremiah had even more ammunition because Jeremiah had gone through the experience. So how is it that Jeremiah could not have explained to his cabinet colleagues what trauma does to you? And after going to Martinique and being over there for a period of time, you think that Jeremiah would not have been able to express to his colleagues why we should help him? And I cannot even begin to think of the situation in which cabinet colleagues would have said no. So it leads me to believe that he never tried. He never tried. And that is what I was bringing up. But like you and all of us who think of it in that perspective, it's inexcusable. But in order to avoid having to deal with that issue, they went to the playbook of Labour Party and said, Alan Chastanet said that the then leader of the opposition, and now Prime Minister, Philip Pierre, never called me to ask for assistance. And the then United Workers' Party government did nothing to help him. But you see, I want all of us to really understand the playbook of the Labour Party. Because what they wanted you to do was to become distracted. And guess what? For some people, it worked. So when I put out now the WhatsApp conversation between myself and Philip Pierre, which is 4 years after the fact. So nobody knew what was happening behind the scene. Nobody played any politics with Jeremiah. Gail was at the hospital, both in Vieux Fort and also at Tapio. Mary Isaac was working with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was working with the French Embassy, who was working with the consulate in Martinique, because we were in the middle of COVID. Somebody had to open up the airport. And when you read the WhatsApp messages, it talks about the deposit that we waived. And it asks a very simple question. Philip Pierre asked, what about resources? And my response was very quick. In these circumstances, we usually provide $10,000. But under certain circumstances, we can provide more. And then when you go down the thread of WhatsApp, what do you see? That he was insured. I never talked about we gave him money. All I said is that, like everybody else, the government of the day helped Jeremiah. And then the next thing is, Lisa, whatever, Joer, I apologize. I don't, and that was not intended to be anything disparaging. I honestly, I want to make sure I always try to get it right, and I probably need to practice it a lot more, or maybe not. Lisa comes on and starts talking about they went and looked in the books to see if there was $10,000 and couldn't find any evidence of the $10,000. And people are calling me now, asking me, Flabos, is it true? Right? About the $10,000. And I'm saying, you've missed the point. You've succeeded. The Labour Party has succeeded in getting you off what the issue is. And the issue is that the Labour Party has always said that they are the party that put you first. They said that they're the people who care the most. And like many things that we're seeing in St Lucia, the state of healthcare, the state of roads, the cost of living, what's going on with crime, the level of victimization that's taking place in this country, it is an untruth. And this example of Peter James should let all of us know, even if you are a supporter of the Labour Party, and there's a difference between being a supporter and being a comrade. Okay? Comrades are a special place. So let us now look at the example. When Jeremiah fell off of the bike, he went on to tell us that Philip Pierre, Ernest Hilaire, Sean Edwards, Alva Baptist, everybody was there for him. They followed him from Vieux Fort, because when he was in Vieux Fort, we were prepared to open up the airport in Vieux Fort to get the helicopter down there to take him. They said no, they're going to take him to Tapio first. They took him to Tapio, and it's 2 days later after that they decided they were going to send him. And everybody was by their side. Who was by Peter James's side? Who was by Peter James's side? Who was by his side? And that is the difference between being a supporter of the Labour Party and being a comrade. When Joachim Henry was ill, where was he rushed to? When Dr. Poyot fell ill, where was she rushed to? She's a comrade. He's a comrade. Peter James was only a supporter. And so imagine how the Labour Party is going to treat you when you are a flubbo. I want to say that all is not lost in St Lucia. And that's what the beautiful thing about being in politics is. Sometimes you go and unexpectedly you are reminded about what a beautiful place this country is. And you're reminded about how special St. Lucia is. Last night, I went to an event of a constituent of mine, and I want to thank his family for the invitation to attend. He celebrated his 100th birthday, right? Mr. Luke. And Mr. Luke didn't just attend the party, he was the party. He sang, he danced, he stood for over an hour and a half taking pictures with all of his relatives. And Mr. Luke has 14 siblings, and 13 of them were there. The 14th, unfortunately, could not make it, but his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren and everybody who was coming up, he knew them all. And they all spoke in the most glorious terms about what an incredible father he was. He shared some intimate stories with me, which I will keep to him, but it strengthened in me how important family is. At the end of the day, that's what we have. That's the most important thing. And when I looked at his different siblings, some who have gone to the States, some who have gone to England, doing all different types of work, but they were all bound together by one person, Mr. Luke and his wife. And they were one tight unit. And I knew then that the secret to longevity, it's love. Yes. It's love, you know? And despite everything that's taking place in the world, despite the things that we get angry at sometimes and we bang our hands on the table over, okay? There's still love. And United Workers' Party has always believed in family, right? And in order for family to work, the family members must have integrity and have good values. But it's for the government to create the environment that the mechanics of the household can work, that people can be fed, kids can be sent to school, and there's a proper healthcare system. That's what this party is about. Yes, we believe in building infrastructure, but that infrastructure is to create capacity for the country to grow so we can all prosper. And that's more clear to me, made more clear to me last night than ever before. That all is not lost in this country. All is not lost. There is a goodness in the heart of many St. Lucians. But like what my colleagues are saying, we're living in a different era. And the idea of saying nothing and doing nothing is no longer going to work. That there are people in this country who've learned to take advantage of the good. And we must stand up to that. And that's why we say we must right the wrong. This week I'm going to be filing another case. And I know the rhetoric that's going to go with this, that Alan Chastanet, United Workers' Party, wants to stop progress in this country. It's always the allegation. I've tried to make a distinction for a lot of my colleagues that the leader of the opposition is a constitutional position in St. Lucia. And the purpose of the leader of the opposition is to provide a check and balance. Not the only one, but to provide a check and balance. It is not the role of the leader of the opposition to provide a plan for St. Lucia. That's not what the role of the leader of the opposition is. That's the role of the political leader of the United Workers' Party, and the United Workers' Party must present a plan to St. Lucians. But the leader of the opposition's role is to hold the government accountable. So when the government attempted to silence my voice as a leader of the opposition, not once, but twice, by getting me out of Parliament, of which I have constitutionally earned the right to be there by the people of Miku South, they're the ones who can take me out, not any other government. I had to go to the courts. When they attempted to change the boundaries of St Lucia and not following the Constitution so there was transparency and accountability in how they were doing it, we had to go to court. And when we went to court, not going to court for Alan Chastanet, I'm going to court as the leader of the opposition to defend the rights of the people of this country. And when they try to challenge you on that, let us see, when I win the court case, who benefits? You, not me. The person that you elected is allowed to stay in the House. The boundaries which would make it unfair as to how elections is taking place in this country was stopped. And today, in circulation are the contracts that the government of St Lucia, through the Minister Hilaire, issued. And the contracts are frightening. The contracts amended the contract with Galaxy for the hotel, and instead of allowing them to sell $210 million US in files, they're now allowing them to sell $1 billion US in files. $1 billion. And the size of the hotel didn't change. They then went on and also now made Galaxy a promoter. So in addition to being a developer in building the hotel, they also made them a promoter, which means that Galaxy now can get a commission. And the commission that Galaxy was given is the same administrative cost that the government of people of St Lucia were supposed to have received. So $150 million US is being paid to Galaxy in commissions for the hotel project. Now, all of that money is going into Galaxy's control. So how Galaxy wants to spend the money, they're free to spend the money. So the question is, has the government operated in the best interest of the people of St Lucia? The legal term is malfeasance. They have acted corruptly. There's no explanation that you can give for that. The government then turned around and issued, not the government, Minister Hilaire turned around and gave a new contract to Galaxy for infrastructure. And in essence, what the contract's saying is the government of St Lucia is going to borrow $100 million US from Galaxy. Okay? But wait. In borrowing the money is not going to come into the coffers of St Lucia. Okay? That Galaxy gets to choose whoever they want the contractor to be. Right? 100 million US. And then the same minister is turning around and agreeing to reimbursing Galaxy $600 million US for the $100 million. Okay? Now, in November of 2023, the government signed a similar contract with BMAX. In that case, they borrowed from BMAX $23 million US, which was to be used for the development of Rockall for 66 low-cost housing units. So that works out to about $1 million EC per unit. Okay, a low-cost house for $1 million EC dollars. Okay? And they agreed to reimburse BMAX $70 million. Okay? They borrowed $23 million from them, and they're going to reimburse them $70 million US. But in the case of BMAX, when they were selling the citizenship by units, the money had to be deposited into the CIP, and the CIP unit had to deposit the money into the economic fund. 2 months later, they write a new contract with Galaxy for the $100 million and the $600 million. And in this case, Galaxy gets to collect all the money. And they also get to collect the administrative fees. In the case of BMAX, in order to issue the certificate of citizenship, to give the person their citizenship, the person has to prove that they sent the $100,000 to the CIP unit and that it was deposited into the economic fund, which is good. But the new contract with Galaxy, all the person has to do is to prove that they paid the administrative fee. Now, I bring this up because it's not just me. What I've given to you is exactly verbatim what's written in the contracts. And those contracts have been in circulation now for months. Who is looking after the interest of the people of St. Lucia? Who? Where is our civil society? They can read the contracts. Where is the executive of the Bar Association? And you see, the Bar Association becomes further implicated because the government now has given approval for 5,000 files for the hotel and 6,000 files for the infrastructure. The lawyers will make a minimum of 5,000 EC dollars per file. So 11,000 files times $5,000 is 55 million EC dollars. Okay, now, the claim in my case is that every lawyer in this country was not given fair access to those funds. So I have no problems with the lawyers making $55 million. Okay? Especially if they're St. Lucian lawyers. The problem I have is, was it unfair? Were those lawyers handpicked? And the fact is that we see that 2 to 3 law firms got the bulk of it. And I'll mention the name of one of them, Thaddeus Antoine. Right? So Thaddeus, who is, we all know, best friends with Ernest Hilaire. A comrade. With a plus. Right? That it is alleged that he got at least half the files. Okay? So half of $55 million is 27 million EC dollars. 27.5 that his firm would have received. Now, if that is true, it is damning. It's damning. And so I want St. Lucians, again, not to fall for the trap of the Labour Party. When I, as a leader of the opposition, I'm going to court, whether it's to defend the decision on the Bonanza land, whether it's to defend the decision what's taken place, where imagine, 2 months after the elections, the controller of customs was removed. A new controller of customs, acting controller of customs coming in. You have a new attorney general. The attorney general was the lawyer for Ernest Hilaire, right? And the decision is then made to stop the case. withdraw the case. And we make it out to believe that this was some big case. This was a very simple matter. This was a matter that had been going on for 4 years, and the DPP said in order for him to proceed, what we must do is get the courts to apply a subpoena to compel Ernest Hilaire to provide proof that he owns the car. That's all. He just had to come into the court. He said that he has all the evidence to show he owns the car. He just needed to bring the evidence. But he couldn't do that because the state already had the evidence to show the car belonged to the St Lucia High Commission, and that he wrote the letter to the British government telling them that the car belonged to the St Lucia High Commission. And all the documentation shows that the car belonged to the St Lucia High Commission. But to think that our court systems could have been manipulated to this point where the case was gone, and it's the leader of the opposition's office that stood tall and took them to court, and we're now still fighting the fight. But we're not fighting the fight for me, we're fighting the fight for the people of St. Lucia. And it's our job as a leader of the opposition to try the best we can to hold everybody accountable to do their job. So whether you're a permanent secretary, whether you're the DPP, whether you're whoever you are. And it's a fight. Because the situation I have going on with me right now, with what's taking place with Thallium, my security, is despicable. It is scary that in a country like this, that situation can happen. How can it be, in order to cover themselves up, that the head of special branch, who Thallium is, he reports directly to him, he's the one filing the complaint? You've been in there. Can you imagine that your superior is going to file a complaint against you, and guess what? Has never called you to tell you did something wrong. Has nothing. Has done nothing to say anything to you. That's why I want to say to my fellow St. Lucians, we are good people. Sadly, too many people in St. Lucia have become corrupted, have become greedy. And that has been the virtue, the one virtue the Labour Party has brought to St. Lucia in spades. And we must right the wrong. We must bring St. Lucia back to where we know it was, where we looked after each other. We took care of our neighbors. We understood how important the elderly were to our lives, and to get your young kids to respect their elders and to support them. And I tell the story, long before we had cell phones, when I was going to school at the Anglican school, and I did something wrong, before I got home, my mother knew. How? Because we were a family. Everybody looked at everybody else's child as their own. If an elderly person was at home alone, neighbors would go in and bring them food and take care of them. There was no need for caretakers. We did it out of the generosity of our own heart. That is the St. Lucia I love. That's the St. Lucia I want to bring back to. And what I know, it's the hardship of life that is changing some people. And that's why it's so important to bring back the United Workers' Party, to put this country back on track again. I thank you very much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard your next Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Michael Chastanet. And before we end, I just want to make one correction. The Honorable Prime Minister in waiting said Peter James. It is James Peter. Yeah. I just wanted to get that straight. I want to remind you that tomorrow at 2 is Skinny's funeral, and we are inviting everyone.
We're meeting at the Castries Council.
We're meeting near the Castries City Council so that we can, walk along with the hearse to the cathedral. And I just want to make one announcement that when the St. Lucia Labour Party has their town hall meeting, They do very well when they get 200 people following on live stream. But despite the fact that we had DBS, we had UTV, we have YouTube, none of which I can check right now, but I checked on Facebook and we had over 1,000 people following. I want to thank, and that says something. People know where the truth lies and where the light shines. And that is why people are now tuning in to the United Workers' Party. And that tells me that St. Lucians are going to make the right decision this time when the time comes. And so I want to thank all of you who showed up here tonight, gave some good energy, and you showed that you can withstand some good heat because the place was alight tonight. And of course, you know, we were burning gas tonight, not kerosene. And so I want to thank all the speakers who made presentations tonight: Josh, Natoya, Laura, Marcella, Dominic, Guy, and the political leader, Honorable Alan Chastanet. I want to extend a special thanks to those in the diaspora. As the political leader mentioned, they are loyally committed to following what is going on, and it's good that they are showing interest in what is happening at home. I want to thank those of you around St. Lucia who have been following. Actually, it is someone who was following down in Miku who sent a message to me saying it's James Peter and not Peter James. So, you know, our people are following. And so I want to say to you, I have recognized the difference, I've recognized the change. Keep it going. I'm hearing you now, and I'm seeing you now. When I see 1,000, over 1,000 on Facebook, I'm seeing you. When I see the room is full here tonight and the energy that we have here, I'm seeing you. So I want to continue to hear you and see you. So let me take this opportunity now to have a little commercial. Tomorrow night, there's a program called Like It Is.
Who's the host?
And the host is a fella called Spider Montut. You can tune in on Hot 7 TV from 8 p.m. You can also follow on Kiss FM. You can also follow on Caribbean Hot TV. And you can also follow on Facebook, either UWP or my page. You can follow us tomorrow evening. On Tuesday, we will have news briefing. I am not sure who will be on Tuesday, but you'll have news briefing from 10 o'clock. You can follow us live on live stream. And on Thursday, Meet the Opposition. I'm not sure if Nancy is going to be back. If she is, she will be the host. If not, I'll be your host. And I want to remind you of a very important appointment. March the 2nd, 2025. There are 15 members of parliament that are not flambeaus right now. By March the 2nd, I will give you 15 members of this party who will be members of parliament come the next election. And let me just say, you know I keep you informed. I was listening carefully when the political leader was speaking. I heard him say a few things, so I'm going to have a talk with him tonight. So you see, by tomorrow, I'll be able to give you a little soupçon, you know. But you must still, and remember, we had a lot of speakers. We saw Laura, we saw Marcella, you know, and a lot of speakers, you know. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. But on the 2nd of March, be sure to be there. If you think you have heard fireworks at the Sunday Live, come to that rally. I think after that rally, it will be fait accompli, case closed. And I'm pleased to say that the flambeau is on the rise, and the flambeau is shining bright. Conference of Delegates is what date? On Sunday coming, whatever date that is. 23rd? Yes, 23rd of February. The Delegates Conference at Marigo. And, you know, March 2nd is a very special date, you know. But there will be convention on that day. I am interested in convention, yes, but I know what's going to happen at convention. What I don't know yet is the list of candidates that is going to serve us, that's going to save us. And so you have to be there on that day. So ladies and gentlemen, let me say a special thanks to you once again. Please stay tuned and we will keep you informed. I don't know if we're going to have another Flabo Live. No, but we're having delegates conference on Sunday. Are we going to be live stream, on live stream? Jamie? Well, part of it is going to be open, and that will be on live stream. So again, we'll keep you informed, and we'll send you the links, so please stay tuned. I want to say that I'm proud of you, ladies and gentlemen. I hear you on the talk shows. Keep calling. Keep in tune. Thanks. Have a good night. Get home safely. Thanks once again.
Youth and Sports Minister Kenson Casimir has been caught blatantly lying about the delays with several disciplines related to national school sports. On October 23, 2024, an article published by Terry Finisterre, a well-known sports journalist and a close political ally of Minister Casimir, penned an article titled, "School Sports Suspended." The story went on to explain that secondary student athletes in St. Lucia would be denied an opportunity to showcase their talents and abilities this term